Chapter 1153. Yes or no. Ming Yao and Tang Yun couldn't help but laugh, but not as much as Yushu and Xiao Xiao. Ha ha ha, Su Taizao, you're such an idiot! Yushu pointed at Taizao with a smile. Whoa, ghosts are here! Scared the hell out of you! Jiang Wen didn't expect Meng Yao and the others to come as well. He looked at the clothes Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun were wearing, and he realized what was going on. Did this idiot really think that Meng Yao and the others were ghosts? Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun were all wearing white pajamas with masks on their faces. They really did look like ghosts. Jiang Wen recognized Yushu's voice. He would have jumped if he didn't. But jumping was one thing, he couldn't let himself be scared like this. At the thought, Jiang Wen was furious. His subordinates were too much of an embarrassment, treating Meng Yao and the others as ghosts. Open your eyes and look, where are the ghosts? This is Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun, where are the ghosts? Where are the ghosts? Jiang Wen said angrily. Taizao paused and raised his head, shivering when he saw Meng Yao, Tang Yun, and Yushu. Why were there 3 ghosts? And bro, aren't they ghosts? They've turned into 3 ghosts, Taizao said. What 3 ghosts? I told you, they're Meng Yao, Tang Yun, and Yushu. Jiang Wen explained with a frown. Taizao paused and took a closer look, and it was just as Jiang Wen said. They weren't ghosts, they were Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun. But they were wearing white pajamas with masks on their faces. It was easy to mistake them as ghosts. What, I'm a ghost? Yushu stuck out her tongue and turned back into her old self. Th. Taizao breathed out in relief and let go of Jiang Wen, patting his chest. Ha, so it's Lil Sis Yao Yao and Lil Sis Shu. Ha ha, I was just joking with you guys. What's the point of having a long night without sleep? Oh, I understand. Yushu smiled as she looked at Taizao, but that smile was filled with disdain. Taizao, what did you do to me? What? What is this smell? F***ck me. Why is she so flirtatious? Did you pee your pants? Jiang Wen yelped abruptly as he jumped up and down, shaking off the water on his body. Whoa, Taizao bro, you're still wet your bed at this age, Yushu said mockingly, remembering the scene when they played Truth or Dare. When did I wet the bed? This was just peeing his pants. No! I didn't pee my pants! I didn't pee my pants! Taizao's face was red as he tried to explain himself. Ha ha! Yushu laughed without saying anything. Alright, Shu, let's go get some rest. It's getting late. We still have to watch the sunrise tomorrow, right? Meng Yao smelled something weird as well and didn't want to stay here any longer. Haha, okay. Yushu made a face at Taizao. Oh, don't dream of me tonight, okay? I'll scare you to death and you'll wet your bed again. Taizao shuddered. That was right, he better not have nightmares or he'd wet his bed again. That'd be so embarrassing. He felt a little awkward. How is that possible? I've stopped peeing my bed a long time ago. No! I've never wet my bed before. Haha, let's go! Yushu didn't say anything else and turned around with Meng Yao and Tang Yun, getting ready to leave. Shu, why didn't you call me along when you were messing with him? Xiao Xiao was a little regretful that she didn't get to see Taizao's face. Just from his own narration, it was already very interesting, not to mention witnessing the entire process. How could I disturb you when you're flirting with Shield Bro? Yushu giggled as she looked at Xiao Xiao. How far are you guys now? Can you tell me? I can't just tell you like that, it's a personal secret. Xiao Xiao shook her head mysteriously. You're not still a virgin, are you? Yushu looked Xiao Xiao up and down as she said fiercely. How? How is that possible? Who said I was? I'm not anymore. Are you? What, are you jealous of me? Xiao Xiao tried to defend herself, thinking that she wasn't a virgin when she said she wasn't. What could she tell? Me? Why would I be jealous of you? I've been a virgin for a long time, even longer than you, Yushu said. I'm Shield Bro's first woman. Who doesn't know how to brag? Xiao Xiao humphed. You're definitely a virgin, how else would you be able to walk so smoothly? The TV says that after the first time, your legs will be stiff. Yushu shook her head. The TV says? You also know it was said on TV? So you don't have any experience at all? Weren't you a virgin a long time ago? You experienced it yourself, why would you watch the TV? Xiao Xiao retorted. I fell asleep after doing it, and I recovered the next day. It's different from yours. Yushu rolled her eyes. Meng Yao and Tang Yun shook their heads, bitter smiles on their faces. These two really were arguing over everything. This wasn't something to be proud of, and they were getting serious. That's enough. Both of you. Xiao Xiao, go back to sleep, we're not going to watch the sunrise tomorrow? Linny smiled bitterly as well, wanting to prove his innocence. How could they be so shameless? He didn't even do anything, so why weren't they? Both Xiao Xiao and Yushu blushed at the same time. They laughed dryly at each other before Xiao Xiao said, I won't be in a bit. I won't be one sooner or later, Yushu said. Linny didn't know what to say, and quickly left with Xiao Xiao. The miss pulled Shu and Tang Yun back to rest as well, leaving Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao alone. Why is this Lin Yi so popular? Why do two girls like him? Tai Zhao said, a little envious. Two? Would you take them if I gave them to you? You're scared out of your wits with just a face mask. Wouldn't you be scared to death if he married you? Jiang Wen humphed. This Feng Xiao Xiao is probably the same as Yushu. Be careful next time, don't fall for her tricks. Chapter 1154. Chapter 1152, Deep Imprint. You're right, we can't let our guard down. Tai Zhao nodded. Thank goodness this Xiao Xiao wasn't part of it, or I'd be in trouble. All right, stop wasting time, go take a shower. Jiang Wen waved his hand, a little pissed off. I'm so dirty from head to toe. How old are you, still peeing your pants? Ugh. Don't mention it, and bro, I'm embarrassed. Tai Zhao blushed. If you're embarrassed, then go take a shower. What are you waiting for? Jiang Wen said as he walked towards the beach. It's not waiting for anything, and bro, it's too dark, I don't dare go. Tai Zhao said, a little hesitant. You don't dare to go even if I go with you? What are you afraid of? Jiang Wen raged. I'm afraid of ghosts, I'm still scared of that scene just now. Tai Zhao said weakly. What ghosts? Didn't I tell you already? There were no ghosts. Where were the ghosts? That was Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun. Are you stupid? Jiang Wen said. It's fine if you don't want to take a shower, but don't sleep in the tent tonight. Stay outside. Then, I'll take a shower. Tai Zhao thought about it. Wouldn't it be scarier to stay outside the tent at night? He might as well go take a shower right now. The night passed without a word. The next morning, Lin Yi opened his eyes. He'd been training in his dreams every day, but Lin Yi could control the time difference very well now. Lin Yi was still connected to the outside world in his dreams. Many people couldn't control what happened in their dreams, but Lin Yi could. In his dreams, in the jade space, Lin Yi was pretty much the same as in reality. Xiao Xiao, wake up. We're going to watch the sunrise, Lin Yi said softly as he patted the sleeping Xiao Xiao in his arms. Last night, Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao slept separately. Perhaps it was because she was being reserved, but Xiao Xiao didn't do anything bold when she came back. She might have been bold when she talked to Yushu last night, but she was a little shy when she came back. Xiao Xiao was an inexperienced girl, after all. Words were words, but actions were actions. In the latter half of the night, when it was cold, Xiao Xiao naturally squeezed into Lin Yi's arms. Lin Yi didn't push her away, hugging her until now. Oh? Xiao Xiao was sleeping soundly when Lin Yi woke her up. She opened her eyes, still a little groggy. It's time? Are you going to make breakfast with love? Xiao Xiao stood up from Lin Yi's arms and paced around the tent, mumbling. Where's the oven? Why's it gone? Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao, feeling a wave of warmth in his heart. Xiao Xiao had been making breakfast with love for him every morning, evidently getting used to it. The moment the alarm went off, she'd wake up and open the oven. It wasn't easy for her to come out and relax, but she still treated this as her home. Xiao Xiao, we're at the beach. Lin Yi got up and hugged Xiao Xiao. This was the first time Lin Yi hugged Xiao Xiao of his own volition, and this girl's figure was deeply imprinted in his heart. Ah? Xiao Xiao rubbed her sleepy eyes, feeling a little embarrassed. I thought I was at home, I was so sleepy. Don't make breakfast with love anymore. Rest well, I feel bad for you. Lin Yi said word by word as he looked at Xiao Xiao. Ah! Lin Yi's love surprised Xiao Xiao, but she wasn't used to it. As far as she was concerned, Lin Yi's feelings for her might be real, but he was only with her because of the bet with Tang Yun. But now, Xiao Xiao could see the deep love in Lin Yi's eyes. Lin Yi really did love her. Xiao Xiao felt lost all of a sudden. Xiao Xiao's original intention was to make Lin Yi fall in love with her, and then she'd dump Lin Yi. This was revenge. Although she'd buried this thought in her heart, and didn't bring it up again, her illness was real. Whether it was revenge or not, Lin Yi would be sad the moment she left, and that wasn't something she wanted to see. You! Why are you so nice to me? Xiao Xiao was a little scared. This time, she was blaming herself. She felt like she was playing with fire, but she couldn't stop. How could she just stop playing around with feelings? You're nice to me, so I'll be nice to you too. Love is mutual. Lin Yi smiled. Didn't you want to watch the sunrise? It'll be out any later. Oh, Xiao Xiao replied, wondering if she should tell Lin Yi the truth. But she was a little scared. She was scared that if she told Lin Yi the truth, Lin Yi would get angry and leave her. Xiao Xiao didn't want to let go of this hard-earned love either. She was conflicted. You hugged me to sleep last night? Xiao Xiao changed the topic. These headaches were getting worse the more she thought about them, so she might as well not think about them at all. Yeah. Lin Yi nodded. You. Xiao Xiao bit her lips, her face a little red. Do you want me? Actually, we can do it now. I've thought about it, huh? Lin Yi blinked. I want to be your woman. Xiao Xiao didn't hesitate this time. She said it with determination. She thought that giving herself to Lin Yi would be a form of compensation to Lin Yi. Lin Yi was the one who took advantage of her. She was going to die soon, but she was still a virgin. When Xiao Xiao hung out with those delinquents, weren't they always talking about it and being proud of it? They'd compare how many virgins they'd slept with, how many women they'd had, and so on. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat, but he kept his composure. We'll talk about this when we get back. Let's go watch the sunrise first. We might not be able to see it if we waste any more time. Yeah. Xiao Xiao nodded, blushing. She wasn't happy with Lin Yi's rejection. Lin Yi was a good guy, but he was a little too serious sometimes. In fact, Xiao Xiao didn't know that Lin Yi was tempted by her suggestion. But Lin Yi wasn't that heartless. Xiao Xiao's life was in danger, and Lin Yi didn't have time to think about stuff like that. Chapter 1155. Chapter 1153. Omnipotent Lin Yi walked out of the tent with Xiao Xiao, and a moist sea breeze blew into their noses. It was a refreshing feeling. Lin Yi looked at Mingyao's tent. It seemed to be quiet, so Lin Yi didn't go disturb them. He and Xiao Xiao went to the beach and sat on the sand. It's so dark. Xiao Xiao squeezed into Lin Yi's embrace. It's the darkest time before dawn. Lin Yi smiled and hugged Xiao Xiao tightly. Are you cold? It's okay, a little cold, but I'm not cold anymore after you've hugged me. Xiao Xiao smiled sweetly. Lin Yi, honey, look, there are stars in the sky. Yeah. Lin Yi nodded, his thoughts going back to the border of a small country in Europe. He remembered that night with Yining. That day, it was also early in the morning, and the two of them sat at the edge of the cave, looking at the stars in the sky. Wasn't it similar to today? It was just a blink of an eye, and everything had changed. The stars were still the same, but the person beside him was Xiao Xiao. At that time, Lin Yi was confused about his future. He didn't know where he would go, and he didn't know when his days of wandering would end. He didn't dare to talk about love, and his attitude towards love was to avoid it. He couldn't give Yining any promises, and he couldn't give her the life she wanted. She was a flower that grew up in a greenhouse, and he and she were people from two different worlds. So Linny chose to avoid it. See Chapter T001-T010, Valentine's Day Special Chapter, Little Ning Chapter. Although in the next few missions, he found out that Yu Ning wasn't as weak as he thought, but Linny still didn't dare cross the line. He remembered his identity. He didn't want Yu Ning to worry about him. She should have a stable and happy life, right? But although this love was buried in his heart, the relationship between Lin Yi and Yu Ning became more and more ambiguous. Until that time when House Yu intervened, Lin Yi frowned, not wanting to think about it anymore. Let bygones be bygones. At the very least, Lin Yi was satisfied and happy right now. This mission allowed Lin Yi to truly integrate into the city, becoming a normal person. It gave Lin Yi real feelings. The reason why Lin Yi was able to open his heart was because of his old man's words. He promised that this would be the last mission of his life. He'd be able to retire after finishing it and settle down in Songzhan. This allowed Lin Yi to open his heart and accept Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao without any worries. Wow! So romantic! Lin Yi's thoughts were pulled back to reality by a scream behind him. Lin Yi didn't need to look to know that it was Shu. Only she had this kind of personality. You're all awake? Lin Yi turned around. As expected, the Miss Shu and Tang Yun were all here. Why are you two so romantic? Cuddling with each other in the middle of the night. I'm jealous. Yushu giggled as she looked at Xiao Xiao. Why don't we switch? Change what? Xiao Xiao blushed a little. Don't Lin Yi's honey have a seat? You go to the left. Hee, then I won't hold back. Shield bro, you can have a girl on your left and right. Yushu smiled, wanting to sit down. But Meng Yao pulled her back. Stop messing around, let's make breakfast to welcome the sunrise. Oh, okay. Yushu remembered that she had a mission this morning. She had to cook a poached egg for Xiao Xiao, and so she went to the car with Meng Yao and Tang Yun. I feel so happy. Xiao Xiao rested her head on Lin Yi's shoulder, enjoying this moment of peace. If you like it, we can come to the beach to watch the sunrise more often. Every year, Lin Yi said. Okay. Xiao Xiao felt a lump in her throat, a little sad. Every year. Perhaps this was the last time she'd be able to watch the sunrise at the beach. Lin Yi could more or less guess what Xiao Xiao was thinking. He was even more determined to find a way to cure Xiao Xiao. The stars in the sky slowly dimmed, and the white of dawn appeared above the sea. It's getting bright, Lin Yi said. It's a new day. Yeah, I've lived another day. Xiao Xiao sighed. At this time, the Miss Shu and Tang Yun had already prepared the cooking tools. Shield bro, everything's ready. Let's start. Yushu ran over. They could do the preparation work, but the rest was up to Lin Yi. Xiao Xiao, wait for me, I'll go make breakfast. Lin Yi said. You. Can you not go? I don't want you to leave. Xiao Xiao said, a little reliant. Don't worry, I'll make breakfast before sunrise for sure. Lin Yi said with a smile. Okay, I'll wait for you. Xiao Xiao nodded. Lin Yi stood up and walked to the campfire with Yushu, lighting it up quickly. He looked at the eggs on the ground, troubled. They'd barbecued yesterday, and they only needed to put the food on the grill. How were they supposed to cook this poached egg without a pan or a plate? If only I had a pan. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I do, Yushu said as she handed him a frying pan. Ah? You brought a pan? Lin Yi paused. Do you have a spatula? I do. It's not a problem for all-purpose Shu. Yushu gave a spatula to Lin Yi. Ugh. All-purpose Shu, she really is all-purpose. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He didn't know if he should praise Yushu or scold her. Lin Yi felt that the car was very heavy when he was driving, and if Yushu had even brought a pan and a spatula, then there had to be more things in the trunk. But Lin Yi didn't have time to think about this. The most important thing now was to fry the eggs. Lin Yi quickly fried a few poached eggs and gave some to Tang Yun, the Miss, and Shu, leaving 2 for Xiao Xiao. Here, eat. Xiao Xiao froze when she smelled the aroma of the poached eggs. How did you know I wanted to eat poached eggs while watching the sunrise? Xiao Xiao asked, surprised. I don't know, I just did it randomly. Lin Yi, naturally, couldn't admit that he'd looked at Xiao Xiao's phone. Isn't this usually what you eat for breakfast? Chapter 1156. Chapter 1154, Jiang Wen's Tragic Past. But why do you want to eat a poached egg while watching the sunrise? Lin Yi didn't understand why Xiao Xiao would want to do that. Because when the sun rises, it's like a big fried egg. I can imagine myself eating it in one bite, Xiao Xiao said. I see. Lin Yi sweated. This Xiao Xiao was quite a creative thinker, connecting all these things together. It was quite special. At that moment, a red glow appeared between the sky and the sea, shining brightly. The sun was about to rise. Whoa! Yushu cheered as well. Evidently, they were watching the sunrise as well. It's coming! Xiao Xiao pointed at the sky excitedly as well. As expected, a fiery red sun slowly rose from the sea, jumping into the air bit by bit. The sea was shining with a golden red light, very beautiful. Xiao Xiao ate her egg as she watched the sunrise happily in Lin Yi's arms. It was a beautiful morning. The sun was rising, and the sea was no longer cold. The temperature of the sea was rising. The five of them finished their breakfast. Their original plan was to change into swimsuits and swim in the sea, but the sea water was still a little cold, so the five of them sat on the beach and waited for the sun to completely heat up the water before going to swim in the sea. Jiang Wen and Taizo only woke up when the sun was completely out. They walked out of the tent and saw the five sitting on the beach. Jiang Wen didn't hesitate at all as he walked over. Yao Yao sis, you're up early. You guys must be hungry, right? I have some nutritious breakfast here, it's almost hot. I'll get Taizao to bring some over. Let's eat together. No need, we're done already, Meng Yao said faintly. You guys eat. Ah? Done? Jiang Wen blinked, but looked at the cooking utensils not too far away. They seemed to have been used today. He shrugged helplessly. If that's the case, then we'll just have a simple bite. The weather's nice today, why don't we go play in the water? Yao Yao Shu, do you guys remember when we used to come to the beach together when we were kids? Of course I remember. Yushu spoke up before Meng Yao could. Did you get bitten by a crab? Why are you crying? That's right, your D*CK is broken. Sister Yao Yao can't marry you in the future. Otherwise, she won't have any sexual bliss. Quack? Jiang Wen blinked at Yushu's words, but he remembered that when he was playing at the beach when he was young, his dick was caught by a crab's pincer, and he almost broke it. Plus, the culprit was most likely Yushu. She was the one who released the crabs. Jiang Wen didn't have any proof, but he was pretty sure of it. From then on, Jiang Wen started to fear Yushu. This girl was too vicious, and he had to stay as far away from her as possible. He might even get castrated by her. At the thought, Jiang Wen couldn't help but admire Lin Yi a little. He had such a good relationship with Yushu. Was he not afraid of anything? Ha ha! Xiao Xiao started laughing after hearing Yushu's words. Who would have thought that Jiang Wen had such a tragic past? Meng Yao and Tang Yun, on the other hand, were too embarrassed to laugh out loud, but they couldn't help but laugh. This Jiang Wen sure was unlucky. That's all in the past, let's not talk about it. Jiang Wen laughed. Let's not talk about this, shall we go swimming later? Right, I even prepared swimsuits for you guys. Taizao, go get the swimsuits for Yao Yao sis and the others. Okay, I'll go get them now. Taizao happily went to get the swimsuits. Very quickly, Taizao came back with a bunch of swimsuits in his hands. Yao Yao Shu Tang Yun Xiao Xiao, see if you guys like them? Jiang Wen passed the swimsuits to Meng Yao. Meng Yao didn't take it, but Yushu curiously took it and flipped through it. These are the latest international models, I had someone buy them from overseas. It took a lot of effort, Jiang Wen said proudly. What the hell is this? Meng Yao's face reddened at the sight of it. How was this a normal swimsuit? It was a sexy swimsuit, wasn't it? Her breasts were exposed, and even her thighs were exposed. Meng Yao wouldn't wear something like this in public. Her swimsuits were very conservative, covering her entire body, and this was a world of difference. Ugh! Jiang Wen didn't expect Meng Yao to react this strongly. Of course, he had to admit that he was being selfish. These swimsuits were all international brands, but he tried his best to choose the sexiest ones. His goal was to let Meng Yao wear them, and it'd be a feast for his eyes. As for Yushu, Jiang Wen didn't dare do anything to her, but she had a good figure, and her breasts were huge. Jiang Wen purposely chose a swimsuit that accentuated Yushu's figure. These are the latest international models, how can they be messed up? Jiang Wen said quickly. These are all designed by famous designers. It might be a little bold, but it's very pretty. You guys are in the prime of your youth, you should show off your beauty. Show it to you? Meng Yao frowned. Ugh! Jiang Wen was a little embarrassed by Meng Yao's question. Evidently, Meng Yao was really pissed, or she wouldn't ask something like this. I'm not wearing it. You can wear it if you want, Meng Yao said. Jiang Wen felt a little awkward. It's fine if you don't want to wear it, I'm just being nice. Taizao, take it back. Jiang Wen felt that it was a pity, but there was nothing he could do. What could he do if Meng Yao didn't want to wear it? He didn't doubt that Lin Yi would kick him into the Pacific Ocean if he dared to do that. Who was Lin Yi? Even House Yu would beat him up, let alone Jiang Wen. If Fighter Li hadn't died, Jiang Wen wouldn't be that afraid of Lin Yi, but now that Fighter Li was killed by some Erguden, and his new support hadn't arrived yet, he didn't dare fight Lin Yi head-on. Don't take them away, I want these swimsuits. Yushu stopped him. Chapter 1157. Chapter 1155, Shark Meat Again. I'll bring it home and wear it for shield bro. Yushu's words poured a bucket of cold water over Jiang Wen's head. What? Jiang Wen paused, and his face changed. Show it to Lin Yi? Why did this girl like Lin Yi so much? Jiang Wen was envious, but at the same time, he thought that Lin Yi would be pranked by Yushu every day, and that she'd release crabs and lobsters to kill him. Give me half, I want it too. Xiao Xiao didn't back down. Sure, I can't do it myself anyway. Yushu didn't reject. Jiang Wen was a little dejected. He spent a lot of money on the swimsuit, and Lin Yi got it for free. He couldn't even see what he bought, how unlucky. But this amount of money wasn't much to Jiang Wen anymore. He waved his hand. All right, I'll give it all to you. Let's go play in the sea today? We'll get some seafood too. It's daylight now, what do you guys want to eat? I'll get it for you. Jiang Wen looked at the crabs and other things crawling up the beach, and he knew that he might be able to get some big fishes later. At least he wouldn't have to go fishing in the dark like last night. What do we want to eat, and what do you want to get? Yushu narrowed her eyes at Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen's heart skipped a beat at the look on Yushu's face. This girl wouldn't be playing tricks on him again, would she? It has to be in the sea, right? I won't be able to get it if it's not there. Jiang Wen laughed, pretending to be joking. Yao yao, and I want to eat shark meat. You go get it, Yushu said. What? Shark? Jiang Wen jumped in fright upon hearing Yushu's words. How could a shark be fished out so easily? Wouldn't they be bitten to death? Yeah, we want to eat barbecued shark meat. Yushu nodded. Don't you specialize in fighting sharks? You broke a shark's teeth with one punch. Were you bragging before? Quack? Jiang Wen suddenly remembered that the last time he treated Jiang Wen, he wanted to show off his bravery by saying that he fought with a shark before. But that was all bullshit. It was a lie. But now, Yushu was bringing this up. Jiang Wen didn't know what to do. If he admitted to it, Yushu would definitely make him go catch the shark right now, but if he didn't admit to it, he'd be seen as a liar in front of Meng Yao, and he'd lose all his face. With that thought, Jiang Wen clenched his teeth. There might not be sharks in this shallow water area, so it wasn't his fault if he didn't meet one. Hence, he said, All right, shark meat it is. Taizao and I will go into the sea to catch sharks for you in a while. However, if there are no sharks in this shallow water area, then we can't do anything. After all, we didn't bring diving equipment, so we can't go to the deep sea area. It doesn't matter. I have a trick to attract sharks. Yushu smiled as she looked at Jiangwen. Cut your finger and drip your blood into the sea, and the sharks will be attracted to you. Quack! Jiangwen jumped up. That's not good, is it? Why not? Are you a coward? Yao Yao doesn't like cowardly men, she likes brave men. Yushu looked at Jiangwen and encouraged him. You need to be brave, you need to be like a warrior if you want to get Yao Yao's attention. You don't have to be nervous no matter how big the danger is. You should believe that Yao Yao is watching you from behind, cheering you on. Is that so? Jiangwen was suddenly filled with courage and fighting spirit as he looked at Taizao. Taizao, change into your swimsuit, we're going to catch sharks. And bro, aren't we a little too weak to catch sharks with our bodies? Taizao said carefully, a bitter face on his face. Cut the crap, let's go. Jiangwen was afraid that Meng Yao would laugh at him, so he pulled Taizao away to change into his swimsuit. Shu, don't you think it's a little too dangerous? What if Jiangwen and Taizao get killed by sharks? Meng Yao didn't believe that Jiangwen could kill sharks at all. She believed that Lin Yi could kill sharks, but Jiangwen... It's fine, I'm here, right? Yushu said. I killed a shark with a rock last time. Haha. You're still bringing it up. Meng Yao couldn't help but laugh. You didn't kill a shark last time, did you? It was Gao Shifu. Hee hee Yao Yao, you know about it too? Yushu blushed a little. She was smart enough to know that she didn't kill a shark, but Gao Xiaofu, who was pretending to be a shark. She thought that no one knew about this. The shark you killed had a supermarket price tag on it. Who wouldn't know? Meng Yao glared at Yushu before turning to Lin Yi, troubled. Lin Yi, watch out later, don't let the shark kill Jiangwen. Okay. Lin Yi nodded, not asking any more questions. Lin Yi knew what Meng Yao was thinking. Jiangwen had always been a childhood playmate, and while he changed now, becoming a bad guy, Meng Yao still didn't want Jiangwen to die in front of her because of their past relationship. Yao Yao, why do you care about him? It doesn't matter if he dies. Yushu didn't care. A while later, Jiangwen and Taizou changed into their swimsuits and got ready to go. Yao Yao, Shu, aren't you guys coming to play? Jiangwen asked. Yao Yao, are we going? Yushu turned to Meng Yao. Meng Yao nodded and turned to Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao. Let's go together. Sure. Tang Yun nodded. This was her first time going to the beach, and everything was so new. Songhan was a city close to the mountains, and there weren't many rivers around. It took a long drive to get to the beach, and the only place close to the sea was the bungee jumping area in the amusement park, but it was a steep cliff, and below the cliff was the sea. It wasn't a good place to play. Tang Yun's family wasn't doing well, and her father was sick in bed, so she didn't have time to go to the beach. Meng Yao and Yushu bought a lot of swimsuits in the supermarket, but they were all conservative types. They brought some for Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao. Chapter 1158. Lin Yi's Loss of Composure. I don't think that's a good idea. You guys pick first. Tang Yun was a little embarrassed. Meng Yao and Yushu were the ones who bought the swimsuits. It was only right for them to pick first. These swimsuits are all the styles that Shu and I like. We won't buy the ones we don't like, so you guys pick the ones you like. Shu and I like the rest too, Meng Yao explained with a smile. Then we'll do as you say. Tang Yun didn't refuse and took a set they liked. However, it was a little awkward when they changed their swimsuits. Although they had already seen each other naked when they changed their pajamas last night, it was dark at that time and they couldn't see anything. They could only vaguely see a white patch, so it wasn't too awkward. But even without turning on the lights, the sun could still shine through the tent, filling the tent with light. It was just a little dark. The miss was a little shy, and so was Tang Yun. But Yushu didn't care. She took off her clothes quickly and got ready to put on her swimsuit. Wow, Shu, your breasts are so big! Xiao Xiao said as she stared at Yushu's breasts. She quickly ran over and grabbed them. Let me touch them! Ah! Yushu cried out as well, quickly dodging Xiaoxiao's attack. Stingy, you're playing threesomes, I won't even let you touch them. I'm not playing with you anymore. Xiaoxiao humphed. I'll let you touch them when we're playing, not now. Yushu quickly put on her swimsuit. Only Shield Bro can touch them now. With Xiaoxiao and Yushu's interference, the atmosphere in the tent wasn't as awkward anymore. Meng Yao and Tang Yun took off their clothes and got ready to change into their swimsuits. Xiaoxiao, on the other hand, was a little shy at the end. At least Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun had changed their pajamas together yesterday, and they'd slept on the same mattress, so they were quite familiar with each other. Only Xiaoxiao was doing it for the first time, so she was a little embarrassed. Xiaoxiao, why are you so slow? Is it because your breasts are too small that you feel inferior in front of me? Yushu giggled. Humph, who said that? You're so big, I'm just right. Xiaoxiao quickly took off her clothes and changed into her swimsuit. It seems to be a little bigger than Yao sis? Yao sis, it looks like you have to work hard, Yushu said to herself. Shoo, you're too much. Meng Yao's face was red from Yushu's actions, and she went to tear her lips. I'm going swimming, Yushu said as she ran out of the tent. Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Linny also went back to change into his swimming trunks. When he walked out of the tent, he saw Shu running out. Xiao Shu's chest was no longer restrained. Coupled with the fact that she was jogging, Lin Yi's breathing quickened. This scene was very similar to a popular chat picture emoticon on the internet. Wow, Shield Bro, you're so strong! Yushu didn't realize that she was inappropriate, but when she saw Lin Yi's muscular chest and abs, her eyes lit up. Ugh, you're very big too, Lin Yi said subconsciously, but after saying that, he felt that something wasn't right. Lin Yi had always been a serious person in front of Meng Yao and Yushu, and he'd never say anything that went overboard. But this time, he'd let Yushu lead him into saying something he shouldn't have said. Oh? Yushu was surprised by Lin Yi's words as well, but she was happy. Although Lin Yi loved her a lot in the past, he never praised her like this. So Yushu was very happy. Shield Bro, you finally found Shu's good points? Lin Yi was speechless. It seemed that humans weren't saints. He had been with Yao Yao and Shu for a long time. It was inevitable that he would have some thoughts about them. It was reasonable for him to have feelings for them. You and Yao Yao are both very good. Lin Yi's face returned to normal as he said faintly. Yushu was a little depressed that Lin Yi had gone back to his old self. But thinking about it, Lin Yi's attitude was very clear. It seemed that he still liked her. And Shu, you have to do your best. Meng Yao, Tang Yun, and Xiaoxiao came out later, so naturally they didn't see the scene before. They were a little confused by Yushu's bright smile. Only Meng Yao wasn't happy. Shu, is my chest so small that it's worth it for you to be happy? You're dying of laughter. I think you should be called Chen Xiaoxiao. No. I'm not laughing at that. Yushu scratched her head, a little embarrassed. Then what are you laughing at? Meng Yao looked at Yushu confused. Oh, nothing. I'm laughing at that idiot Jiang when going to catch a shark, Yushu said. Meng Yao didn't really believe Yushu's words, but she didn't say anything. Jiang Wen and Taizao were swimming in the ocean when they saw Meng Yao and the others coming out. He waved his hands. Yao Yao, come quickly! It's really cool in the water. The sun was already out, and standing on the beach was quite hot. The water hadn't absorbed all the heat yet, so it was still a little cold. It was the most comfortable time to go into the water. Jiang Wen bro, why aren't you going to catch a shark? Yushu asked directly after entering the water. Ha, I was just thinking, why don't we play for a while? Otherwise, how are we supposed to play if the blood stays in the water? Jiang Wen laughed. We'll catch sharks after we're done playing. Is that so? That works too. Yushu thought about it. They weren't done playing yet, and it was indeed a little unpleasant to attract a shark. She was there to supervise them, so she wasn't worried that Jiang Wen wouldn't go. The chances of sharks and dangerous sea creatures appearing in shallow water were very low, but Lin Yi was still very vigilant, watching the surface of the sea, ready to make a move at a moment's notice. Wow, there are abalones on the reef! Xiao Xiao pointed excitedly at a reef at the bottom of the sea and exclaimed. Really? There's abalones here? Yushu rolled her eyes and called out to Jiangwen. Jiangwen bro, there's abalones here! Come catch some abalones for lunch! Chapter 1159. Let me tell you a secret. It's right here, hurry up and catch it. Yushu pointed at the reef in the water. That's too easy, watch me. Jiangwen thought that this was a good chance to show off his bravery. He gathered his strength and said to the abalone, Little abalone, I'm coming! But Jiangwen's thinking was too simple. The abalone was stuck to the reef like it was glued to it. Even a cow would struggle to pull it away. Jiangwen, on the other hand, didn't know that he was treating the abalone like a clam, thinking that he could just pick it up. And so, Jiangwen felt that something wasn't right. Why was the abalone so tight? It was as if it was growing on the reef. Taizao, come help! Let's pull it together! Jiangwen said to Taizao. All right, let's pull it together! Taizao was scared of ghosts and sharks, but this little abalone was nothing to him. He and Jiangwen started pulling it with all their might. Jiangwen bro, Taizao bro, go! Yao Yao is watching you guys! Yushu cheered them on as she slipped away with Xiao Xiao, leaving the two idiots pulling the abalone with all their might. Yushu and Xiao Xiao ran over to Meng Yao and Tang Yan's side, laughing their heads off. What's wrong with you two? Meng Yao asked curiously. Jiangwen and Taizao are pulling the abalone with their hands, Yushu said. Pulling the abalone with their hands? Meng Yao blinked. Can that thing be pulled out with their hands? Don't we have to use special tools to pull it out? Didn't we watch an episode of Animal World before? It's about abalone, right? Yeah, those two idiots must have never watched it before. They think they can pull it out with their hands, Yushu said. Let them do it, we don't have to worry about them bothering us anymore, Yushu said. Meng Yao shook her head. This Yushu was quite a bad person. Linny didn't go into the sea. He sat quietly on the beach, watching the people play in the water. He had to take care of their safety. Husband Linny, can you come down to the sea to play this time? You lied to me that you didn't know how to swim, but Shu said you saved him. Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi a little bitterly. She'd wanted Lin Yi to come play with her when Pin Liang organized the trip to the beach, but Lin Yi refused, saying that he didn't know how to swim. But as she got closer to Yushu, Xiao Xiao learned more about Lin Yi. I'm not going. You guys have fun first. Lin Yi shook his head. But Xiao Xiao, naturally, wouldn't let Lin Yi go so easily. With Xiao Xiao in the lead, the group started splashing water on Lin Yi. Yushu quickly joined in as well, and Tang Yun hesitated a little before joining in. The Miss was in a difficult position. With her personality, she would never mess around with Yushu. But now that Tang Yun had joined the battle, if the Miss didn't join in, it would seem that she was not a part of the group. And so, the Miss started splashing water on Linny as well. Linny didn't mind smiling. It's a little hot sitting on the beach, it'll cool me down a little. I'll just take it as a shower. Sisters, how about we push Shield Bro into the sea? Yushu wasn't too happy about it. Sure! Xiao Xiao was the first to agree. Tang Yun, on the other hand, didn't hold back. It was her first time out, and she had to enjoy herself. She answered Yushu's call, running up to the shore and dragging Linny into the water. Linny wasn't expecting Tang Yun to get along with Yushu as well. He was a little surprised, but he gave her some face and went into the sea. On the other side, Jiangwen and Taizao were struggling with the abalone. Jiangwen wanted to cry as he looked at the laughter. Why is this abalone so hard? Is it growing on the reef? Who knows, and bro? I've already used all my strength, but the abalone doesn't move at all. Taizao smiled bitterly. Maybe there's something wrong with this abalone? That Yushu girl is always messing with people, maybe we should change to another abalone. Jiangwen thought about it and agreed. Yushu was always messing with people, and there might be something wrong with this abalone. He and Taizao went to pull out the other abalones, only to realize that it was the same as before. It was stuck to the rocks, not moving at all. Could it be that there's something wrong with all the abalones? Jiang Wen frowned. That can't be, right? These are all wild abalones, they don't look like they've been tampered with. Taizou was confused as well. Forget it, don't pull them out. Yushu wants to eat abalone, right? We'll call Gang Lu when we get ashore and get him to buy a few kilos of abalones. She said it herself yesterday, we don't have to go to the sea to eat seafood. Jiang Wen said. That's true. Taizou and Jiang Wen went ashore together, giving up on the idea of pulling abalones. He went back to the tent and called Gang Lu, asking him to buy a few kilos of abalones and some shark meat. Shoo, Jiang Wen seems to have given up on pulling abalones, Xiao Xiao said as she looked at the shore. How about we mess with him again? Yushu blinked as an idea formed in her mind. Sure. How? Xiao Xiao didn't even need to think about it before agreeing. You just have to do this. Yushu and Xiao Xiao started plotting. It didn't take long for the two to get ashore and walk towards Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen bro, come here, I'll tell you a secret. Yushu waved at Jiang Wen. Oh? What secret? Jiang Wen didn't dare delay. He knew that Yushu's secret might not be something good, but he still walked over. Come closer. Yushu gestured for Jiang Wen to crouch down. She wasn't as tall as Jiang Wen, so naturally, she couldn't reach his ear. What is it? Jiang Wen crouched down. Yushu put her mouth close to Jiang Wen's ear and suddenly screamed. Wah! Jiang Wen jumped up in fright from Yushu's sudden scream. His ears were ringing from the shockwave, and he was almost deafened by Yushu. Jiang Wen was a little pissed off. Wasn't Yushu a little too much? It was fine if she was messing around, but was she trying to scare him to death? Chapter 1160. Chapter 1158. Why didn't you tell me? No, Jiang Wen bro, I really wanted to tell you a secret. Yushu said, feeling wrong. You really wanted to tell me a secret? What kind of secret do you want to tell me? Jiang Wen frowned. And bro, bad news. Something big happened. Taizou ran over from not too far away, panting as he spoke. Wait a minute, what's going on? Wait for Lil Sis Shu to tell me the secret first. Jiang Wen waved his hand, gesturing for Taizou to calm down. Jiang Wen bro, I actually wanted to tell you. Xiao Xiao wants to put a crab in your pants. Yushu said. Then tell me. Why did you yell all of a sudden? Are you trying to deafen me? Jiang Wen looked at Yushu helplessly. No, I yelled because Xiao Xiao came just now and she put crabs in your pants. I saw it and jumped in fright, Yushu said embarrassedly. Gah! Jiang Wen jumped up again, holding his crotch with both hands as cold sweat dripped down his forehead. I pinched my balls, it hurts. Oh, Jiang Wen bro, I've told you the secret. I'll be going first, keep your balls hurting. Yushu waved at Jiang Wen and turned to leave. Jiang Wen held his crotch as he jumped up and down, not daring to take off his pants in front of everyone. He could only run into the tent. Once inside the tent, Jiang Wen quickly took off his swimming trunks, and a small crab happened to be clamping onto Jiang Wen's balls. Taizou, come help me, I can't use my strength. Jiang Wen called out, troubled. Little crab, come down, it's not fun over there. Taizou said with his head lowered. Are you a crab? Does it even understand what you're saying? Hurry up and help me take it down. Jiang Wen was very pissed off. Why was he talking to a crab at a time like this? Taizou didn't dare say much as he carefully reached out to pull the crab, only to find that Jiang Wen was on the verge of tears. My balls, I pulled them. But it won't come down even if I don't. Taizou didn't know what to do, he didn't know if he should continue or stop. Can't you be more careful? Should we break its claws first? Jiang Wen said. I'll try. Taizou nodded carefully. As a result, a great drama of wailing and howling unfolded in the tent, and a real pain in the ass was born. Yushu and Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, went back to playing with Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Tang Yuxiao as if nothing had happened. What happened to Jiang Wen? I think he's injured. Meng Yao didn't know what was wrong with Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen's cries were so shrill that even Meng Yao could hear them from afar. His balls are hurting, Yushu said. Balls! Balls? Meng Yao's face reddened. Balls were a common phrase in the internet, but it was mostly used by men. Girls didn't have balls, after all, and it wasn't elegant to say that out loud. Meng Yao, especially, didn't know how to say that. Naturally, she felt a little embarrassed hearing Yushu say that. But Meng Yao was a little puzzled why was Jiang Wen having balls all of a sudden. His balls got clamped by a crab, Xiao Xiao explained. Huh! Meng Yao paused. She didn't know what it felt like to have his balls clamped by a crab, but it probably wasn't a good feeling. Why is he so unlucky? Why is he getting that? I put the crab there, Xiao Xiao said. Ah? Meng Yao's head ached, so it was Xiao Xiao's doing? Looking at Yushu's face, it was probably the two's teamwork. Jiang Wen sure was unlucky, running into these two devils. Nothing bad will happen to him, right? Meng Yao asked worriedly. Nope, it's just a small crab. It'll get hurt at most, but it won't die, Yushu said. Jiang Wen finally managed to pull the crab off with all his might, but his balls were broken as well, and the pain made him jump up and down. Motherfucker, stupid crab! I'll stomp you to death! Jiang Wen stepped on the crab after he got it off. But because it was sand, the crab wasn't affected at all. Once he stepped on it, the crab shot out its claws and clamped onto Jiang Wen's toes again. Ouch! Jiang Wen cried out again. Half an hour later, Jiang Wen limped out of the tent, holding his balls. His balls and toes were all bandaged up, and he was in pain. He asked Taizao as he walked. Right, you said something big happened just now, that you had something big to report to me. What happened? Jiang Wen remembered that Taizao wanted to talk to him about something, but Yushu had scared him out of his mind, so he didn't pay much attention to it. It's like this, and bro. I wanted to tell you that Xiao Xiao threw a crab in your pants, but there's no need now, Taizao said bitterly. What? Jiang Wen almost jumped up from the ground. You're saying Xiao Xiao threw the crab? You saw it? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Jiang Wen remembered that the crab hadn't even bitten the eggs when Taizao was yelling. Did that mean that this wouldn't have happened if he'd found out in time? Jiang Wen's face turned very ugly at the thought. But I wanted to tell you earlier, but you told me to wait until Lil Sis Shu told you the secret, Taizao said weakly. What? Jiang Wen paused, but thinking about it, that was indeed the case. He was the one who asked Taizao to wait for a bit. Jiang Wen could only blame it on his bad luck. Who could he blame for this? Jiang Wen looked at Yushu and Xiao Xiao with a hint of hatred in his eyes, but they were Meng Yao's friends, and he couldn't do anything about it. If he did, they'd just say it was a joke. What could he do? And so, Jiang Wen gritted his teeth and endured the pain, pretending to be fine as he walked towards the beach. Chapter 1161. Chapter 1159, You're a Brave Man. Jiang Wen bro, how are you? Where's that crab? Yushu's first sentence hit Jiang Wen's sore spot. Jiang Wen's face froze, but he didn't want Meng Yao to look down on him. He pretended to be calm and said nonchalantly, It's just a little crab, what can it do to me? Meng Yao didn't know what to say, but Jiang Wen didn't want Meng Yao to underestimate him. Wow, Jiang Wen bro, you're so strong? Your balls are fine? Yushu's eyes were filled with admiration. Of course it's fine, I've trained before. I got caught by a crab once when I was young, and I've been training ever since I was free. As of now, a single crab is useless against me, Jiang Wen said proudly. The same move is nothing to me. Oh, Jiang Wen bro's a steel egg. Then the girl who marries you will definitely be blessed, Yushu said enviously. Haha, you can't say that, but I'm sure she'll be blessed. Jiang Wen thought that Yushu was quite adorable at times like this, praising him in front of Meng Yao. It seemed like it was a good thing that he'd gotten his balls pinched between his legs. Jiang Wen bro, you're a brave and strong man, Yushu said sincerely. Of course, Yao Yao Lil Sis likes brave men. I'm developing in that direction. Jiang Wen nodded. Oh, since you're fine, then go catch the shark. We're waiting to eat it, Yushu said. What? Jiangwen paused, realizing that he'd fallen into Yushu's trap. Yushu kept complimenting him on how brave and strong he was, and now she wanted him to go catch a shark? He couldn't say no to that either. Fighting with sharks is a very dangerous thing, and you guys are playing in the sea right now. Let's just forget about it. It's not good to cause a bloody mess. Jiangwen had a plan in mind. I've already told Ganlu to buy some abalone and shark meat from the supermarket. They'll be here soon, so we don't need to catch them anymore. Oh, that's not the same. The sharks in the supermarket are dead, frozen, and not fresh. Sister Yao Yao prefers to eat fresh sharks, Yushu said. Plus, Yao Yao likes the process of a warrior fighting a shark, not the result. Eating the shark is secondary, you just want to enjoy the fruit of your victory. If it's a shark killed by someone else, Yao Yao won't eat it. I see. Yushu's words made Jiangwen's blood boil, but he wasn't an idiot. He knew what he was capable of. His body wasn't even enough to fill the gap between the shark's teeth, let alone fight it. But in order to not lose face in front of Meng Yao, Jiangwen hesitated. Naturally, I've been thinking about that too. It's been a while since I've fought a shark, and I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable. You also know that a brave person like me will feel uncomfortable if I don't do something brave for a period of time. But sharks aren't easy to come by. This is shallow water. Sharks don't usually come here, so this thing can only depend on luck. Jiangwen's words were very clear. He wanted to catch sharks, but there weren't any here, so it wasn't his fault, was it? Jiangwen wasn't wrong. There weren't any sharks in shallow water, so there was no way to catch one even if he wanted to. Let's try it then. Cut your finger and attract the shark. Yushu nodded. There were indeed sharks around here. When he fell into the water with Lin Yi, and when Pin Liang organized the trip, they'd all met sharks. Yushu thought that Jiangwen would be lucky to meet a shark this time. All right. Jiangwen thought that this little bit of blood would be diluted very quickly, and the sharks wouldn't be able to get close. He turned to Taizao. Taizao, cut your finger and attract the shark. Ah? How come it's me? Taizao pointed at himself, a little troubled. Me if not you? Jiangwen glared at him. Hurry up, don't delay me from fighting the shark. All right. Taizao gritted his teeth and went to cut his finger. But this time, Jiangwen had miscalculated. He didn't know anything about sharks at all, or he wouldn't have said something stupid like breaking a shark's teeth with one punch. If you dropped a drop of blood in the ocean, the shark would be able to smell it from 1/4 of a mile away. Sharks were especially sensitive to odors in the ocean, especially the smell of blood. Injured fish would make low-frequency vibrations, and even small amounts of blood would attract them from afar. Their sense of smell was even better than that of a land dog's. They could smell blood at 1 ppm, 1/1,000th, in the water, meaning that their sense of smell could detect 1 drop of blood in 1,000,000 drops of seawater. A 1-meter-long shark's nose was filled with olfactory nerve endings up to 4,842 square centimeters, like a 5 to 7 meter long man-eater shark. Its sense of smell was so sensitive that it could smell the blood of injured people and marine animals from several kilometers away. Taizao, on the other hand, had more than 1 drop of blood. If there were sharks nearby, it would be strange if he didn't attract them. Yao Yao Shu Yin Yun, Xiao Xiao, let's go ashore. What if there are sharks? Lin Yi, on the other hand, knew that Taizao's actions would attract sharks, and so he prepared for them to go ashore to hide. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to protect all 4 of them at the same time if the shark really came. Don't be caught off guard. Seeing how serious Lin Yi was, the miss didn't say much. She nodded. All right, Shu, let's go rest for a bit. We'll get some sun. Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao, naturally, listened to Lin Yi. Lin Yi had his reasons for telling them to go ashore. That's good too. Only brave people can fight a terrifying existence like sharks. Jiangwen was a bit surprised at Lin Yi's cowardice, but the more cowardly Lin Yi was, the happier Jiangwen was. Only Lin Yi's cowardice could highlight his bravery. Linny smiled faintly and didn't say anything. If Jiang Wen wanted to be stupid, then let him be. He'd know what fear felt like when the sharks were attracted. Chapter 1162. Chapter 1160, Caring. Then watch me! Jiang Wen walked into the sea proudly. As far as he was concerned, sharks couldn't possibly appear on this shallow beach. However, he had only taken 2 steps when something that shocked him to the core happened. A shark's fin appeared on the calm surface of the sea, and it was swimming towards him at high speed. What? Jiang Wen's eyes went wide. He never would have thought that a shark would actually come. Tai Zhao, on the other hand, didn't seem to realize the danger that was coming. He was standing in the sea like an idiot, dripping blood into the water with his finger. His head was lowered, however, and he didn't see the shark swimming towards him. Jiang Wen's face froze. He didn't know if he should run or go forward. He'd be safe if he ran, but he'd lose his face in front of Meng Yao. He'd lost a lot of face this time. But he didn't dare go forward. How was he a match for a shark? Wasn't going to die if he went forward? With that thought, Jiang Wen sweated profusely. He couldn't make a choice. Jiang Wen bro, you can do it! Jiang Wen bro, you can do it! Yushu cheered. You can do it! Yao Yao loves watching heroes fight sharks! Jiang Wen's expression was worse than if he were crying. He wasn't an idiot. Fighting a shark like this was suicide. Tai Zhao, on the other hand, heard Yushu's yell. He paused and looked up to see the shark swimming towards him at breakneck speed, jumping up in fright. He didn't dare let any more blood into the water, and started running away immediately. Jiang Wen's mental defenses crumbled as he watched Tai Zhao run off. He turned around and ran with Tai Zhao. Jiang Wen bro, why aren't you fighting sharks anymore? Yushu looked at Jiang Wen strangely. Well, I suddenly feel sorry for the shark. Look at how small it is, it must be a baby shark. It hasn't been in this world for long, and it'd be too pitiful if I killed it, Jiang Wen said with an idea. So I decided to let it go. I see. Yushu nodded thoughtfully. Of course, I'm very compassionate. Jiang Wen nodded quickly after seeing that Yushu believed him. Oh, okay, but Jiang Wen bro, there's a big shark over there. I'll leave it to you. Yushu pointed at the sea. What? Jiang Wen looked in the direction Yushu was pointing at and almost jumped up. A shark that was even bigger than the previous one was swimming towards them. Judging from the size of its fin, it was several times bigger than the previous shark. Jiang Wen was dumbfounded. He really wanted to slap himself a few times. What kind of mouth was this? Why was it so effective? He had just casually mentioned it, and a bigger shark had come. He really didn't know what to do. Jiang Wen, what's wrong? Is this shark also a baby shark? Could it be a little shark with obesity? Yushu giggled. You're young, aren't you? Of course not. Jiang Wen wanted to say what Yushu said, but since Yushu had already said it, it wouldn't be good if he repeated it. He laughed dryly. I think this shark must be related to the baby shark. They're a family. This is a mother shark, and she's afraid that I'll kill the baby shark, so the old one came to protect it. If I kill the old one, then the baby shark won't have a mother anymore. It's so pitiful, so I've decided to let them go. Yao Yao sis, don't blame me. It's not that I don't want to give you shark meat, it's just that I'm too compassionate. Jiang Wen's words were full of loopholes, and even Meng Yao couldn't help but laugh. But Meng Yao was different from Yushu. She wouldn't expose Jiang Wen, only looking down on him in her heart. How could someone like this be called brave? Finally, after the 2 sharks circled the nearby waters, they did not find their target, and swam away after finding nothing. Only then did Jiang Wen let out a breath of relief, his face a little awkward. He didn't know if Meng Yao believed him or not, but he couldn't tell from Meng Yao's expression at all. Meng Yao was still as calm and expressionless as ever. But just when Jiang Wen didn't know what to do, someone came to his rescue. It was Gang Lu. At this moment, Gang Lu was driving a Toyota off-road vehicle to the beach. He stopped the car and ran towards Jiang Wen with the abalone and shark meat he just bought from the supermarket. And bro, I've bought everything according to your orders. The abalone is the highest grade of Hokkaido abalone. It's very precious, and the shark meat is very fresh, Ganglu said as he handed the 2 big bags to Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen was overjoyed at the sight. Now that the seafood was here, he didn't need to go into the sea to fish it, and he didn't need to fight the shark. Ganglu, good job! Jiang Wen took the bag with a smile. But the bag wasn't even in Jiang Wen's hands for a second before Yushu snatched it away. Jiang Wen bro, you're a kind person. These abalones are alive, you can't bear to eat them, right? And the shark meat. You didn't even bear to kill sharks before, so you definitely wouldn't eat their meat. So, in order to prevent you from being a heartless person, leave this to us. You be the good guy, and we'll be the bad guy, Yushu said confidently, and Jiang Wen couldn't refute her at all. If he were to retort, then all that love and whatnot would be bullsh*t. So, Jiang Wen could only swallow his pride and keep it to himself. This was delicious seafood, and Jiang Wen wanted to try it himself, but he didn't expect that because of what he said before, he wouldn't be able to. But the more it was like this, the more Jiang Wen couldn't say anything. He had to act like he didn't care, and said calmly, Naturally, I won't eat it. Who told me to be a kind person? Then I'll give it all to you. Jiang Wen's heart was bleeding. Fuck, he wouldn't have bragged if he knew this was going to happen. Wasn't he just asking for trouble? Forget it, he'd go back and eat the lamb skewers from yesterday. There was still a lot left, and it was enough. Chapter 1163. Leave nothing behind. Jiang Wen bro's so kind, he's probably a vegetarian, right? He still has some lamb skewers and stuff, we can share them with him, can't we? We can't let him be so heartless. Xiao Xiao reminded. What? Jiang Wen's eyes went wide, almost fainting from the rage. How was he supposed to live like this? Not only did he take the seafood, but he was also trying to kill them all? Even the lamb skewers? Oh right, I forgot. Then let's go get them, Jiang Wen bro. Yushu slapped her forehead as realization dawned on her. Of course. Jiang Wen gave Yushu a smile that was uglier than a crying face, and so, a strange scene unfolded on the beach. Lin Yi, Mingyao, Yushu, Tang Yun, and Xiao Xiao were all enjoying the barbecue together, while Jiang Wen, Taizao, and Ganglu stood at a distance, looking at them enviously. They wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Taizao, what else do we have to eat? Jiang Wen asked bitterly. I've given out everything here, I wonder what else Ganglu has. Taizao turned to Ganglu. I bought some canned beer from the supermarket, but we don't have any seafood left. We can't just eat beer, can we? Ganglu shrugged with a bitter smile. Is there nothing else other than beer? Taizao asked. There's still a few cups of instant noodles, Ganglu said. Instant noodles are fine too, we'll just make do with it. There's an electric kettle in the car, right? Let's boil some water. Jiang Wen thought that it was better than nothing. It didn't feel good to be hungry. But there's no water, and bro? Ganglu said weakly. Instant noodles need water, and there's only beer here. We can't just use beer for instant noodles, can we? Isn't there seawater? You idiot, why don't you just get some seawater and boil it? We can use it as seafood noodles. Jiang Wen pointed at the sea, furious. This Ganglu really was an idiot. There was so much water in front of them, and he said there was no water. What kind of look was that? But the seawater is salty, Taizao asked, confused. Wouldn't it be less salty if you added less seasoning? Jiang Wen glared. Thus, the three of them ate seafood noodles and drank beer. It was quite a unique experience. And bro, this noodles is pretty good. So fresh. Taizao didn't have enough after one bowl and made another. Of course, don't you know who I am? Jiang Wen said proudly. Lin Yi and the others, on the other hand, were eating happily, especially Yushu and Xiao Xiao. Their mouths were covered in grease, and they looked like hungry ghosts coming back to life. Lin Yi honey, try Xiao Xiao's abalone, it's super delicious. Xiao Xiao picked up an extremely large abalone, dipped it in seasoning, and put it next to Lin Yi's mouth. Okay. Lin Yi opened his mouth, his imagination running wild. Smiling abalone? Delicious. On the other side, Yushu, naturally, didn't want to be outdone. She looked at Xiao Xiao with disdain. Abalone. Naturally, Yushu knew what it meant. It was often said on the forums. It used to be called abalone, but now it was called fungus, and so, it didn't matter if Xiao Xiao was doing this on purpose or not. As her number one opponent, Yushu began to retaliate. She picked up a cup of milk tea and gave it to Lin Yi. Shield bro, you're thirsty, right? Drink some of Shu's milk, huh? Lin Yi almost couldn't hold it in. These two were doing this on purpose, weren't they? Yes, it did seem like it. Lin Yi took the milk tea from Yushu's hands and took a sip. Jiang Wen's eyes went red as he watched Lin Yi's side eat so happily. That's our stuff, and Lin Yi took it. What a bully! Taizao threw away the bowl in his hand. And bro, are we going to get revenge? Gang Lu asked carefully. Revenge? What revenge? Lin Yi's a mystic, and I'm not an idiot. The three of us aren't even enough to warm up for him. Jiang Wen knew his situation very well. This Lin Yi was a wolf in sheep's clothing. He'd been tricked a couple of times already, even losing his kidney. Of course we can't fight him head-on. Why don't we play some tricks? As Taiza's number one strategist, Gang Lu was quite good at scheming. Tricks? You think you can win against Yushu and Xiao Xiao? Jiang Wen rolled his eyes. My balls are hurting right now. Gang Lu went silent. Going head-on didn't work, and playing dirty didn't work either. What else could he do? Gang Lu was right. Jiang Wen really didn't have any tricks up his sleeve right now. Before a new master arrived, Jiang Wen really didn't have anything he could rely on. Jiang Wen didn't want to get into a conflict with Lin Yi, but he wanted to use soft tactics to get on Ming Yao's good side. At noon, there were more and more tourists at the beach. This place wasn't a safe swimming area, but the environment was good. Many people who came to the beach for barbecue would choose this place. Of course, most people would leave after they were done barbecuing. Very few people would stay the night or swim here. They'd set up camp at the beach. After all, not many people were as brave as Lin Yi, not afraid of sharks. Driving a Q7 and a Land Cruiser to the beach to eat instant noodles? Which family's young masters are they from? Are they trying to act cool? I think they're probably rentals. Not necessarily. Look at how they use seawater to cook noodles. Maybe they have a special hobby? Maybe they just like that. Or maybe they got robbed. They took all the good food they brought, and now they can only eat instant noodles? The Truth Emperor appeared, but no one believed him. There's no robbery in this area. Why aren't we robbed? Someone retorted. Jiang Wen's face darkened when he heard the tourists talking about him. He stood up with a fierce face and looked at the crowd. What are you looking at? I like instant noodles. What's wrong with that? Seawater boiled noodles are called seafood noodles. Normal people can't even get to eat that. The crowd started snickering, and Jiang Wen got even angrier. But the law couldn't punish everyone, and he couldn't go looking for trouble one by one, could he? He wouldn't be a match for them if they ganged up on him. With that thought, Jiang Wen could only swallow his anger. Let's go. Let's go. There was no point in staying here any longer. Meng Yao and the others would go back after eating. After all, no one would stay here for 2 nights straight. Chapter 1164. Chapter 1162. Xie Yufeng again. The 12th grade classes were quite tight, and the Miss Shu and Tang Yun all had to go back and study. I'm so full! Yushu held her round belly as she laid on the beach, not willing to move. It's so delicious! That Ganglu sure is a nice guy, buying so much good stuff. Xiao Xiao burped. She couldn't take it anymore. That's right. Meng Yao and Tang Yun, on the other hand, were more gentlemanly. They were the type who only tasted a little, and wouldn't keep eating just because the food was delicious. Eh? Isn't that Lin Yi? There's also Meng Yao, Yushu, Tang Yun, and Xiao Xiao? A familiar voice rang out just as they were about to rest. Lin Yi raised his head, not expecting Xie Yufeng to be here. Lin Yi was a bit surprised to see Xie Yufeng here and now. Xie Yufeng? Your car is fixed? Lin Yi was already suspicious of Xie Yufeng's parentage. This guy hid his strength in front of him, so naturally, Lin Yi wouldn't be too close with him. His attitude towards Xie Yufeng had always been cold. Haha, it's just a car. I bought another one. Xie Yufeng's eyes flashed with hatred. If it weren't for Lin Yi, he wouldn't be the one giving money to someone else, but someone else giving him money. This damned guy, always appearing when he wanted to show his strength. Wasn't he just making things difficult for him? Originally, Xie Yufeng didn't want to greet Lin Yi today, but thinking of the heavy responsibility his family gave him, he had to investigate Lin Yi's background. He had to pretend to get close to Lin Yi, hoping to get some information from Lin Yi. From his observation, other than Meng Yao, Yushu, Tang Yun, and Xiao Xiao, Lin Yi didn't seem to have any contact with anyone else. This brat seems to be flirting with girls all day long? Meng Yao, Yushu, and Xiao Xiao's backgrounds were obvious to Yufeng. Other than Tang Yun, who was a commoner, all three of them had some background. However, all three of them got along very well with Lin Yi. It had to be said that Lin Yi was very powerful. If he didn't have a bit of skill, he wouldn't have been able to get the favor of these three girls. Could it be that Lin Yi was really a disciple of a hidden family, or even someone from an ancient sect? The more Yufeng interacted with Lin Yi, the more he couldn't figure out Lin Yi's background, so he didn't dare to act rashly. He was a prideful person, thinking that he could kill Lin Yi with one move, but after all these setbacks, he had calmed down. He was waiting for the Xiao family to make the first move. He didn't have much hope before, since the Xiao family had fallen to a certain point, and they couldn't even take care of themselves. How would they have the time to cause trouble for Lin Yi? But now, the Xiao family had the support of the Hidden House Pai, and the people Lin Yi injured were from the Hidden House Pai, so Yufeng didn't want to be the one to take the lead. Letting the Xiao family take the lead and kill Lin Yi would be the best. Even if they didn't kill Lin Yi, they would be able to find out more about Lin Yi's background. He, Yufeng, wasn't an idiot. He had a more important mission right now, and that was to hit on Ling Shan. This was the genius girl of House Song, and she was very pretty. He heard that House Song's arts were very suitable for dual practicing, and once he got her in his bed, wouldn't his kung fu improve by leaps and bounds? He heard that the old man of House Song was a useless martial artist, yet he was forcefully pushed to the late phase of golden class. He was a genius, so wouldn't he be able to go straight to Earth class? With that thought, Yufeng abandoned all his previous plans and gave up on the girl beside Lin Yi. This wasn't a joke. Ling Shan was working in Songhan, and if she knew that he was hitting on girls in school, her impression of him would plummet. It wasn't uncommon for noble houses to have multiple wives and concubines, but there were some things that didn't matter. Plus, Xie Yufeng hadn't even gotten married yet, and he was already thinking about getting a concubine? That was a huge taboo. And so, Yufeng calmed down and didn't target Lin Yi. He was just a little puzzled why wasn't the Xiao family making a move yet. What were they waiting for? Oh, do you have anything else? If not, we'll be leaving. Lin Yi looked at Yufeng. He didn't want to talk to him anymore. All right, you guys have fun, I'll be leaving. Yufeng nodded and turned around, his face a little dark. Yufeng came here today to check things out. He'd heard from his contacts in the Songshan police station that Ling Shan was on leave tomorrow and the day after. He wasn't surprised at all, since different departments had different rules when it came to holidays. It was normal for Ling Shan to be on duty during the holidays. Yufeng planned to officially invite Ling Shan over tomorrow, but he wasn't very familiar with the tourist attractions around Songshan. In order to avoid a situation where he had to make a last-minute effort, he decided to come over first to check things out. So today, he drove around with Penghu and Songming, but didn't expect to bump into Lin Yi. Yufeng brought some barbecue ingredients today, planning to practice with Penghu and Songming. It was also a way to practice his barbecue skills. And so, after Yufeng came back from Lin Yi's place, the three sat on the ground, ready to start barbecuing. Lin Yi glanced at Yufeng and the others, not bothering with them. After resting for a bit, the five were about to leave when Lin Yi saw someone he didn't expect. Qin Shi, the girl Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao met at the beef noodle shop. She was with an old man, picking up trash on the beach with a sack. This area was filled with people who came by themselves to barbecue and barbecue. The beer bottles and soft drinks were also thrown on the ground. There were even some rich people who didn't even want the iron skewers and grill from the mutton skewers. They just threw them on the beach and left. Therefore, every holiday and weekend, if one were to scavenge here, they would have a good harvest. Qin Shi's harvest today was quite a lot. One could tell from her blushing face that she was very happy. But Lin Yi's eyes landed on the old man beside Qin Shi. A mystic late-phase peak spiritual practitioner? Lin Yi's eyes were about to fall out of their sockets. A mystic late-phase peak spiritual practitioner coming out to pick up trash. Why was this world full of weird situations? Chapter 1165. Conflict and Lesson. Lin Yi wanted to observe this old man for a bit, just what was going on with him. Qin Shi and the old man shuttled past the tourists barbecuing on the beach, picking up the beverage cans and beer bottles that they threw around. Many people looked at them with disgust and disdain. Of course, Qin Shi didn't notice Lin Yi. She probably didn't have time to pay attention to other people. Her attention was all on the bottles. Soon, Qin Shi walked to Yufeng's side. Just like before, she picked up a beer can beside Yufeng, but after picking it up, she realized something was wrong. There was still beer in the beer bar, it wasn't empty. Qin Shi quickly put it down, but her actions were clearly seen by Xie Yufeng. Yufeng was furious and pointed at Qin Shi. "Little bitch, what are you doing?" "I'm sorry. I thought it was an empty can." Qin Shi quickly apologized to Yufeng. This had happened before, but Qin Shi could only swallow it. After all, she was here to pick up trash, so it was her responsibility. Some tourists were unreasonable, but Qin Shi couldn't do anything about it. "Sorry? Sorry is enough? Fuck, I'm so unlucky." Yufeng was happily eating, a mouthful of meat and a mouthful of beer, but Qin Shi almost took the beer away. Although he put it down in the end, looking at Qin Shi's dirty face, could the beer still be drinkable after she touched it? With that in mind, Yufeng picked up the half-empty can of beer that Qin Shi touched and threw it at Qin Shi, causing the beer to spill all over Qin Shi's body. The old man beside Qin Shi wasn't spared either. He was also drenched in beer. "Kid, you should forgive people when you can, don't you think you're going a bit too far?" The old man frowned as well. He didn't think that Yufeng would be this arrogant. He'd had some conflicts with other people when he was picking up trash, but they just scolded him a little and let it go. Yufeng didn't do this, pouring beer all over other people's bodies. "Too far? Old man, let me tell you, if she wasn't a little girl, I'd have slapped her in the face if it were you." This was already considered light. What the hell was that? How dare you meddle in other people's business? Xie Yufeng was humiliated by Lin Yi, and then he was beaten up by Iron Fist Wu and extorted a large sum of money from him. Naturally, he was in a bad mood. He wanted to find someone to vent his anger on, and these two scavengers came to him. Qin Shi was indeed very pretty, on par with Meng Yao and the others, but she was wearing tattered clothes and a straw hat, which made her look less attractive. What was Xie Yufeng's background as well? The young master of House Yu. In his eyes, people like Qin Shi were the lowest of the low. So what if she was pretty? Even if it looked good, he wouldn't bother to do it for free. He felt that it would be a loss of face. If people knew that he, the young master of House Yu, had a girl that picked up trash, wouldn't he be the laughing stock of the other houses? So Xie Yufeng didn't care about the fairer sex. He just wanted to use this as an excuse to vent his anger. "I was going to let this go, but since you're meddling in other people's business, I've changed my mind. Kneel down and kowtow to me, and I'll let this go. Otherwise, I'll call the police and arrest you." Xie Yufeng felt much better after saying this. The anger that he had been holding in for so many days was finally released. During this period of time, he was simply too aggrieved, almost suffocating to death. He was the young master of House Yu, and he hadn't even achieved anything yet. How much had he suffered? He couldn't do anything to Linny for now, but this old scavenger dared to talk to him like this. Did he really think that he was a tiger that got bullied by a dog? Call the police? It's not like we're breaking the law. What right do you have to arrest us? Qinshi looked at Xie Yufeng, unconvinced. She had already apologized, but this guy didn't let it go. He even asked Grandpa Zhu to kneel. Damn it! Picking up trash? You stole my beer, did you think I didn't see it? My two friends here are witnesses, and they can see it clearly. And I'm not afraid to tell you that my fiancée is a police. Do you think she'll believe me or you? Xie Yufeng said proudly. At this point, he had already treated Ling Shan as his fiancée. As far as Xie Yufeng was concerned, this was a marriage between two families, and House Song must have notified Ling Shan already. Although the two houses weren't officially engaged, the two heads of the houses had discussed it, and it was basically set in stone. There wouldn't be any problems. Next, it would be a matter of whether or not the two of them got along well. As long as the two didn't have too big of a conflict and got along well, the next step would be to discuss the marriage. Unless the two of them didn't see eye to eye with each other, or if there was a bigger conflict, they would consider it. Of course, in many cases, for the sake of face, even if the two of them didn't get along, they would still force the marriage for the sake of the big picture. After all, it was already decided, and if they broke up because of some reason, it wouldn't look good. Grandpa Zhu's eyes flashed coldly. As a mystic late-phase peak spiritual practitioner, he wouldn't have come out to pick up trash if he wasn't asked by the head of the house. But this little young master actually wanted him to kneel down. How could he take it? Yufeng's arrogant attitude had triggered Grandpa Zhu's murderous intent. He decided to teach this arrogant bastard a lesson. If he wasn't afraid of trouble, he would have killed him on the spot. Good, very good. Grandpa Zhu didn't get angry, but smiled instead. He reached out to pat Yufeng's body. It looked like he was patting Yufeng's shoulder, but it was actually filled with killing intent. A mystic peak like Grandpa Zhu had a lot of tricks up his sleeve. What he wanted to do was to pour his pure qi into Yufeng's body. Yufeng might be fine right now, but this pure qi would stay in his body for a long time to come, causing him pain all over his body and tormenting him. Of course, this was only for normal people. To a master, this little bit of qi could be refined. Linny often used these kinds of tricks, but Linny was much better than Grandpa Zhu. Chapter 1166. They were all hidden. So for normal practitioners, this move could only transfer a limited amount of qi. But Linny was different. Linny could compress qi, which meant that in the same amount of time, Linny could transfer more qi. So the effect of Lin Yi's move was much higher than Grandpa Zhu's. Lin Yi's move could even deal with high-level practitioners. You can refine a little bit of qi, but I'll give you a lot of it. Let's see how you refine it. Even if you can, it's not something that can be done in a day, and if you refine too much of it, you might even go crazy. Wasn't Yao Wang in the same situation? His entire body was covered in needles, and under each needle was the compressed energy sealed by Lin Yi. Unless Yao Wang used all his strength to refine it bit by bit, or he had some miraculous medicine, or he had the help of a master, but Yao Wang didn't have any of that right now. He could only endure the needles every day he was angry, but there was nothing he could do. But what Grandpa Zhu didn't expect was that when he reached out to transfer the energy into Xie Yufeng's body, an accident happened. Xie Yufeng dodged Grandpa Zhu's palm effortlessly, tilting his body to the side. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Mystic late phase peak? Mystic early phase peak? Grandpa Zhu paused as well. He wanted to teach Xie Yufeng a lesson, but he didn't expect this person to be a master as well. Wasn't this a bit too dramatic? He was just picking up trash at the beach, and he met a mystic class master? Grandpa Zhu was surprised at Xie Yufeng's age, but he was also worried. It wasn't that he was afraid of Xie Yufeng's strength, but that his identity would be exposed. All these years, he'd been following the orders of the head of the house, staying by Qinshi and her mother's side. He'd never made a single mistake, But now something like this happened. Luckily, Qinshi didn't understand the division of strength in the martial world, and she wouldn't understand what Xie Yufeng meant. With that thought, Grandpa Zhu calmed down. Young man, apologize to us, and we'll let this matter go. Otherwise, humph. Since the other party already knew his strength, there was no need for Grandpa Zhu to speak softly. He directly threatened him in a cold voice. Apologize? Which family are you from? Yufeng wasn't afraid at all. He stared at the old man, thinking that this old man must belong to some family. As long as he said that he was from House Yu, this old man wouldn't dare do anything to him. Which family are you from? Grandpa Zhu frowned. I'm from House Yu, Yufeng said proudly. If you know what's good for you, then scram. Don't get in my way, or else, humph. House Yu? Which House Yu? Grandpa Zhu asked indifferently. House Yu, haven't you heard of them? The head of the 9 noble houses. Xie Yufeng himphed. I thought it was the hidden House Yu, but it's just the common House Yu, Grandpa Zhu said faintly. Since you don't want to apologize, take this. With that, Grandpa Zhu was about to slap him. However, before Grandpa Zhu could slap him, he heard a voice shouting. Wait a minute! Linny, why are you here? Yufeng gritted his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. Master Lin was here again. Yufeng almost spat out blood when he heard this voice. It was already hard enough for him to fight a mystic late-phase peak with his early-phase peak strength, but Lin Yi suddenly appeared. He had no choice but to hide his strength. Wasn't he just waiting for a beating? But the one who was the most depressed wasn't Yufeng, but Grandpa Zhu. When he heard Yufeng call out Lin Yi's name, he was shocked and quickly retracted his qi. After this period of investigation, he already knew who this Lin Yi Qinshi was. He was just thinking about how to stop Lin Yi from causing trouble, but before he could think of anything, he ran into Lin Yi. The reason why Lin Yi appeared at this time was to test this Grandpa Zhu who was with Qinshi. As far as Lin Yi was concerned, a mystic late-phase peak master hiding by Qinshi's side was something unimaginable. A mystic coming out to pick up trash? Unless he had some sort of special hobby, or he was crazy. Of course, this Grandpa Zhu didn't look crazy, but it didn't make sense to say that it was a hobby. Lin Yi had never heard of a master with this hobby, unless there was a purpose. With that thought, Lin Yi's eyes focused and walked over. It's nothing, I know this girl, so I'm asking for mercy on her behalf. Let's just forget about this. Lin Yi pointed at Qinshi, saying that he was asking for mercy, but in fact, he was using an unquestionable tone, making Yufeng unable to refute. Yufeng knew that this wasn't the time to be enemies with Lin Yi, and he had to give face to Lin Yi, so he took the chance and said, Since you're Lin classmate's friend, then let's forget about this. Okay, you guys continue, Lin Yi said as he pulled Qinshi to the side. The meaning behind his words was clear. He knew this little girl, but he didn't know this old man. You can continue with this old man. Yufeng paused, but he could clearly feel that the old man in front of him also retracted his qi. This made Yufeng confused. He was afraid that Lin Yi would see through his strength, but this old man was also afraid that Lin Yi would see through his strength. Otherwise, why would he hide his strength the moment Lin Yi came? Grandpa Zhu retracted his gaze and walked towards Lin Yi and Qinshi, not talking to Yufeng anymore. At this moment, Yufeng was even more certain of his suspicion. This old man was definitely afraid of his strength being exposed. Otherwise, why did this old thing act as if nothing had happened just now when he was still clamoring that he would let him take a slap from him? Yufeng analyzed and came to a conclusion: this old man and Lin Yi had some sort of secret, just like him. As if he was on steroids, he got excited and pointed at Grandpa Zhu. Old man, don't go! Didn't you want to hit me? Take a slap from me first. As soon as he finished, he raised his fist and punched the old man's back. Chapter 1167. Chapter 1165, Stupid or Genius? Yufeng was overjoyed as soon as his fist hit the target. As expected, his guess was right. This old man was the same as him, hiding something. He was hiding his strength as well. At the thought of this, Xie Yufeng raised his fist and punched again and again. Without qi, Yufeng could still teach this old man a lesson. Grandpa Zhu was stronger than Yufeng, but under the situation where either of them used qi, Yufeng had the upper hand. Yufeng was a young man, so he had the upper hand in terms of stamina. Qi aside, Yufeng's physique was far stronger than an old man's, and so Yufeng started beating the old man up. Qinshi didn't think that Yufeng would start beating people up in the blink of an eye. She jumped in shock. Seeing Lin Yi's surprise and joy, Qinshi's face turned to worry. Big brother, don't you know that person? Can you stop him from beating Grandpa Zhu? My words might not work. Your Grandpa Zhu was so cocky that he wanted to slap him. He was the one who provoked him. I couldn't do anything about it, Lin Yi said helplessly. But it looks like your Grandpa Zhu has a trump card. He won't get hurt, it'll be fine. Ah? Qinshi didn't really understand what Lin Yi was saying, but Lin Yi's words did make sense. Grandpa Zhu did provoke him first, didn't he? Grandpa Zhu almost spat out blood after hearing Lin Yi's words. If you didn't come, wouldn't I have beaten him up? Why did you come here if you had nothing to do? But Grandpa Zhu felt wronged, and he couldn't say it out loud. Yufeng's fists rained down on Grandpa Zhu's face, beating him up. But Grandpa Zhu also noticed the problem. Yufeng didn't seem to be using qi at all. If Yufeng was afraid of hurting him, and didn't use qi after seeing him retract his qi, Grandpa Zhu wouldn't believe it. Yufeng wasn't that kind of person. The only possibility was that the kid was afraid of Lin Yi? It seemed like he did not dare to use his true qi. Thinking of this, Grandpa Zhu let out a sigh of relief. In this way, no matter how he hit, it would only be superficial wounds. He wouldn't be able to hurt his tendons and bones. He would endure it for now. When Lin Yi left, he would come back for revenge. Xie Yufeng, right? Just you wait. If I don't send you to the hospital today, my surname isn't Zhu. Of course, Grandpa Zhu didn't dare to kill Xie Yufeng. After all, he was from the common world's house Yu. What if he caused trouble for the head of the house? Lin Yi wanted Yufeng to test Grandpa Zhu, but seeing that Grandpa Zhu wasn't even fighting back, he was sure that this guy was hiding his strength on purpose, not wanting him to find out. Then there must be something wrong with this person. After all, when Lin Yi came to mediate, it was understandable that Grandpa Zhu withdrew his true qi. But now, it seemed that he had been guarding against Lin Yi all along. Qinshi, how's your mom? Lin Yi turned to Qinshi. She's a lot better after drinking the medicine. Qinshi's eyes flashed with happiness when she mentioned her mom. Her mom's condition was improving, and this was her biggest wish. Thank you, Lin Yi bro! Haha, it's nothing, it's nothing. Lin Yi looked at Grandpa Zhu deeply, but he couldn't ask Qinshi face to face right now. He'd have to wait for a chance later. Xiao Xiao saw Qinshi and quickly walked over. Qinshi saw her and greeted her. Xiao Xiao sis. After the greeting, Qinshi's eyes turned back to Yufeng and Grandpa Zhu. Yufeng evidently didn't plan on letting Grandpa Zhu go. He was pissed off. He'd been holding it in for too long, hiding his strength and getting beaten up by people who weren't as strong as him. But now, Yufeng was finally feeling good. Old thing, you're hiding your strength too? Don't you feel good getting beaten up by someone who's weaker than you? But it didn't matter if Grandpa Zhu felt good or not. Yufeng felt really good. It was a sense of accomplishment. A sense of accomplishment that he'd been holding back for so long. Now, he felt like he'd swapped roles with the person who bullied him. This old man was probably feeling the same way he was before, right? He couldn't use his strength, waha. Yufeng was getting more and more excited as he fought. He wanted to return all the pain he'd been through to this old man. Xiao Xiao, let's go. Lin Yi didn't want to stay any longer. It didn't matter who this old man was, or if he was good or bad. At least he wasn't hostile towards Qinshi right now. Lin Yi didn't have to worry about Qinshi being in danger. He believed that once he left, the situation would change. Yufeng would go from being the one hitting people to being hit. Lin Yi, why didn't you stop Yufeng? Xiao Xiao paused. She didn't expect Lin Yi to just leave like that. She was confused. Let's go back. Linny gave Xiao Xiao a look and pulled her back. Xiao Xiao didn't understand what Linny meant, but with Lin Yi's intelligence, there had to be a reason. She didn't say anything and just looked at Qin Shi before leaving with Lin Yi. On the other side, Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun didn't like Yu Feng beating up an old man, but what surprised them was that Lin Yi didn't care at all. Meng Yao wanted to say something, but Yushu looked at Grandpa Zhu and then at Yu Feng. She pulled Meng Yao. Yao Yao, shield bros in the car. Let's go! I want to go home. Tang Yun wanted to say something as well, but seeing that Xiao Xiao didn't say anything, she didn't either and got in the car. It wasn't until Lin Yi started the car and drove away that Xiao Xiao spoke her mind. Lin Yi, honey, why did you let Yu Feng beat up that old man? Is that so? If Yu Feng really wanted to, the old man would have been dead already. Lin Yi smiled. Xiao Xiao blinked, not understanding what Lin Yi meant. Yushu, on the other hand, slapped her forehead. That old man is a master too. But he probably hid his strength in front of Shield Bro. Lin Yi looked back at Shu, a little surprised he didn't expect her to be right. Chapter 1168. The situation reversed. Lin Yi didn't know the reason behind it, but since Yushu didn't want to talk about it, Lin Yi wouldn't proactively ask. After all, it might be related to other people's privacy. Yushu's words made Xiao Xiao pause. She felt that the old man was a bit suspicious, but she didn't think that he was hiding his strength. But now that Yushu said it, it made sense. Before Lin Yi walked over, the old man did force Yu Feng to apologize. If it was a normal trash picker, the first thing they would do in front of an arrogant young master like this would be to apologize over and over again. They wouldn't even have the intention to fight back, right? But this old man did, and he was very calm, as if he was very powerful. But after Lin Yi walked over, the situation flipped. The old man withered instantly, turning around and leaving without saying a word. This proved that although the old man was withered, he was still a person with strength. He still had his pride, so even if he left, he wouldn't say anything soft. Tang Yun and Meng Yao, on the other hand, remembered that Yu Feng purposely hid his strength in front of Lin Yi and got beaten up by those gangsters. Could it be that today's incident was the same as well? Lin Yi smiled and stopped the car not far away. Shu's right, but right now, it's probably that old man beating Yu Feng up, right? Shu brought a complete set of equipment this time. She even brought binoculars with her. So, they took out the binoculars from the trunk and looked at the beach. Sure enough, they saw a shocking scene. Yu Feng was having so much fun beating him up that he didn't even notice that Lin Yi had left. He finally found the balance in his heart, and all the frustration he had accumulated over the past few days was finally released. So what if you're a mystic late phase peak? Didn't you still get beaten up by me, a mystic early phase peak? And I didn't even use a bit of chi. I was using my bare fists to beat you up. But it didn't take long for Yu Feng to feel as if he was punching a metal block. The next moment, Yu Feng realized that the old man was gathering his chi again, and this time, the old man went berserk and sent a palm towards Yu Feng. Yu Feng was shocked. He didn't expect the old man to reveal his true strength after hiding it for so long. What was going on? Did he not want to hide anymore? Yu Feng looked around subconsciously. Where was Lin Yi? Lin Yi had already left. The next moment, beads of cold sweat formed on Yu Feng's forehead. Why did Lin Yi leave? I haven't had enough yet? Even if you're leaving, you should at least let me know, right? I'll go with you. Now that you're gone, this old man will recover his strength. Isn't this a trap for me? Yu Feng wanted to run, but before he could do so, he was heavily injured by Grandpa Zhu. Ah! Yu Feng screamed and subconsciously channeled his chi. But he was only a peak early phase mystic class. How could he be a match for a peak late phase mystic class? There was a difference of a few levels between them. This Grandpa Zhu didn't want to kill Yu Feng, and so it became a one-sided abuse. Old Zhu almost went crazy with anger. You're just a peak early phase mystic class, and you dare hit me? If it weren't for the fact that I was afraid of being discovered by Lin Yi, I would have sent you to the hospital already. You didn't beg for mercy, and you still dare to do this to me? And so, now that the tables had turned, how could old Zhu let Yufeng go? If he didn't send Yufeng to the hospital, his surname wasn't Zhu. Chen Shi, who was watching from the sidelines, was dumbfounded. What was going on? Grandpa Zhu, who was just getting beaten up, suddenly turned from the one being beaten to the one being beaten up. Wasn't this change a little too fast? Little bastard, didn't you beat me up? Aren't you fierce? Let's see if you can still do it now. Old Zhu was infuriated. You're just a disciple of the common world's house you, and you're acting like this? If you're stronger than me, then I won't say anything. If you beat me up, it'll be my bad luck. But you're so weak, and you're still acting like this? Do you want to die? Spare me, Grandpa, spare me, I was wrong. Yufeng gave in immediately, not even thinking of fighting back. He was a mystic class, but he was only a peak early phase mystic class, while old Zhu was a peak late phase mystic class. The difference was too big, and Yufeng didn't dare fight back. If it was Lin Yi, he could rely on his practitioner's arts and pure qi to fight against Yufeng, but Yufeng's strength came from the accumulation of elixirs and elixirs. As a direct descendant of House Yu, he was naturally the focus of the family's nurturing, and so his martial arts were mostly accelerated. He lacked battle experience, so how could he be an opponent for an old man like old Zhu? It was wise of him not to fight back, but if he did, he'd be in a worse state. Right now, Yufeng was using his qi to protect his vitals, and old Zhu didn't want to kill him. Yufeng looked like he was heavily injured, but his meridians weren't damaged, only his bones and tendons were injured. He'd be fine after lying in the hospital for a while. Yufeng didn't think that he'd be so unlucky today as expected. Seeing Lin Yi was his unlucky day. The Miss, Shu, Tang Yun, and Xiao Xiao exchanged binoculars as they looked at Yufeng's pitiful state. They couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lin Yi was right, the one getting beaten up was Yufeng. After beating Yufeng up, old Zhu was afraid that the police would come, so he turned around and pulled the shocked Qinshi away, quickly leaving the scene. Yufeng's two followers, Penghu and Songming, naturally didn't dare block their way. They weren't old Zhu's opponents, so it didn't matter if they left. The most important thing was to get Yufeng to the hospital. It seemed like Yufeng's injuries weren't light, and if they were late, he'd be in danger. Old Zhu wasn't afraid of anything, and he didn't believe that Yufeng would call the police. Young masters of noble houses rarely called the police, and Yufeng was hiding his strength, so he couldn't tell anyone about it. With his strength, he didn't need to worry about it being exposed. If Yufeng revealed it, then it was the same as revealing his true strength. He didn't know why Yufeng was hiding it, but old Zhu didn't need to know, as long as he knew he was fine. Chapter 1169. Who was the fiancé? I see. Qinshi nodded, not really understanding. Then Grandpa Zhu's kung fu is really strong. And you need to practice the things I taught you. You'll be like me in the future, a strong person. Grandpa Zhu smiled. I will, Grandpa Zhu, don't worry, I practice every day. Qinshi nodded enviously. But you have to keep it a secret, don't tell anyone about this, understand? Including your mother and friends. Grandpa Zhu reminded again. And don't worry, Grandpa Zhu, I won't say anything. You don't want to expose your identity. Do you want to be a hidden hero? Qinshi nodded solemnly. This is related to my enemies. You don't want me to be hunted down, do you? Grandpa Zhu smiled. I see. Qinshi's pretty face showed worry and determination. Don't worry, Grandpa Zhu. I won't tell anyone about this, not even if you beat me to death. Good girl. Grandpa Zhu patted Qinshi's shoulder, an almost imperceptible smirk on his face. Oh, I guessed it right, I really am Prophet Shu. Yushu cheered excitedly with the binoculars. Meng Yao and Tang Yun couldn't help but laugh at Yushu's words. As far as they could see, this Ye Yufeng wasn't a good person, and that Grandpa Zhu was suspicious as well. It was a dog-eat-dog thing. Only Lin Yi was thinking. Songshan was a small place like this, and there were so many masters around. Songming and Penghu didn't call the cops, but some kind-hearted bystanders called the police. Normally, Ling Shan wouldn't care about a normal brawl like this, but this was a special time, and the missing people were usually the ones who disappeared after a brawl. Ling Shan had told the call center to notify the criminal police if there were any more brawls. Ling Shan didn't dare tarry after hearing about a fight at the beach. She brought her men and rushed to the beach. Ling Shan came to the seaside, naturally, and walked towards the place with the most onlookers. The first thing she saw was the bloodied Xie Yufeng. What happened? Who's the witness? Ling Shan walked over quickly. Li Penghu and Wang Tsongming were stunned. Who called the police? Yufeng didn't want to lose face, so naturally he didn't want to call the cops, especially since his fiancée was a police. He didn't want Ling Shan to know that he got beaten up. That would be too embarrassing. Yufeng knew Ling Shan, but Ling Shan didn't know Yufeng. Penghu and Tsongming didn't know Ling Shan either. Yufeng planned to do a good job today and ask Ling Shan out at night, so Ling Shan didn't even know that this guy in front of her was her fiancé. It's nothing. There's nothing going on here, officer comrade, you can go back, Penghu said. Nothing? Ling Shan paused and pointed at Yufeng. He's beaten up like this, and you're saying he's fine? Did you beat him up? No, this is my boss, but it's just a small injury. It's not a big deal, we'll go to the hospital ourselves later, we don't need to alert the police, Tsongming said with a smile as he walked over. This little girl is quite pretty, huh? But she looked like a trainee police officer, and should be easy to talk to, Tsongming said in a nice tone. Small injury? How is this a small injury? The attacker is a threat to the public, what's going on? Ling Shan felt that there was more to this the more she listened to Tsongming's cover-up. Could it be that this had something to do with the missing people cases? Did the attacker disappear as well? Tsongming and Penghu looked at each other, their faces changing. It seemed like this officer wasn't going to let this go. This was going to be a bit troublesome. It's like this, my boss's fiancée is also a police. My boss lost a fight, and he didn't want to lose face in front of his fiancée, so he didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Officer, since we're all friends, could you let this go? Tsongming hesitated and decided to tell the truth. Plus, we're the victims, we'll let this go. You see, his fiancée is also from the police? Who is it? What's her name? Ling Shan frowned. If what Tsongming said was true, then she'd give them some face. He was right, the victim wasn't going to pursue this, so there was no reason for her to hold on to it. My boss's fiancée is called Ling Shan. She's the captain of Songshan's police department, Tsongming said. Wait. Tsongming and Penghu didn't know who Ling Shan was, but how could Yufeng not know? He'd been studying the information his father had given him about Ling Shan, and he'd seen her picture a couple of times. How could he not recognize her now that she was right in front of him? He'd been covering his face and squatting on the ground because he was afraid that Ling Shan would recognize him. That'd be too embarrassing. Who knew that Tsongming and Penghu would spill his guide? How was he supposed to live? However, when he wanted to stop him, he couldn't. In the end, he was a step too late, and Tsongming Wang said it out loud. Yufeng covered his face, speechless. What? Ling Shan's eyes went wide, as if she'd seen a ghost. You're saying his fiancée is called Ling Shan? The captain of Songshan's police department? Yeah. Tsongming's heart was pounding as well, but he'd already said it, and he couldn't go back on it. He didn't know what was going on, but he could only nod. I'm Ling Shan, but I don't know him. Ling Shan pointed at Yufeng and said faintly. Ha? You're Ling Shan? Your sis-in-law? Tsongming looked at Ling Shan in disbelief. He didn't expect to bump into her here. Chapter 1170. Chapter 1168. Ling Shan's rejection. Yufeng held his head on the ground, knowing that he couldn't keep pretending anymore. He raised his head and limped up. Ling Shan, I'm Yufeng. House Yu's Yufeng. With that, he reached his hand out, wanting to shake Ling Shan's hand. House Yu? Yufeng? Why are you here? Ling Shan paused, not expecting to meet someone from House Yu here. She didn't understand how this House Yu became her fiancé. Yu Feng saw that Ling Shan wasn't going to shake his hand, and he felt a little awkward. Ling Shan, Grandpa Song told you about us, right? I wanted to ask you out tomorrow, right? I just wanted to check things out first. Wait, what do you mean by us? What do you mean by us? What did my grandpa say to me? Ling Shan interrupted him, frowning. Our marriage. My dad already talked to Grandpa Song about it. Yu Feng paused, not expecting that Ling Shan didn't know about this. Did House Song not tell him about it? How come I didn't know about this? Ling Shan looked at Yu Feng coldly, feeling that his words weren't trustworthy at all. Was this guy an imposter? She was engaged to a House Yu, and she didn't even know about it. What was going on? Ling Shan's question surprised Yu Feng, but he didn't panic. You can call Grandpa Song and you'll know if I'm telling the truth. Now that things had come to this, Yu Feng didn't care if his image was ugly or not. He had to confirm things first before anything else. Lu Wangli, look after these three, I'll go make a call. Ling Shan's expression was a little uncertain. She couldn't tell if the person in front of her was from House Yu or not, but judging from his confident expression, it was pretty much the case. But when had she ever been engaged to a House Yu? Yes, Captain Song! Lu Wangli saw through Yu Feng and the other two, but he couldn't help but click his tongue. It couldn't be, right? Is there a poacher here? And from the sound of it, he seemed to be friends with Captain Song's family? What about Linny? Ling Shan's face was dark as she walked back into the police car, quickly calling her Grandpa Song Xian Wen. Shan, why did you call Grandpa? Xian Wen picked up the phone, his tone filled with joy. Ling Shan had become Old Song's pride, and so he was always in a good mood when he picked up her call. Grandpa, there's a guy calling himself House Yu's phone, saying he's my fiancé. What's going on? Ling Shan didn't have time for small talk. Oh? Haha, House Yu's phone, right? That young man is not bad. How is it, Shan? Are you satisfied? Grandpa found it for you based on your standards, and among the younger generation, the only one stronger than you is Yu Feng. Xian Wen smiled. He's a mystic mid-phase. Mystic mid-phase? Ling Shan paused. This Yu Feng was pretty strong, having that kind of strength. But while Ling Shan felt that he was strong, she wasn't moved at all. She already had someone in her heart, and even if she didn't, she wouldn't fall for this Xie Feng. At least, her first impression of him was that she didn't like him at all. He got beaten up like a bloody gourd, and he was hiding it because he didn't want her to know. What kind of man was this? Didn't dare to admit it? He was far from Linny. Linny was hurt, and he never pretended to be hurt. This was a real man. Just look at that sissy Yu Feng. He wasn't a good guy at all. How is it? Are you satisfied? Xian Wen said, pleased with himself. Being able to have a marriage with House Yu was a great thing, and House Song's position in the future would be very stable. As long as Ling Shan was there, House Song would still be one of the 9 great houses, and their ranking might even move up. Grandpa, how can you make decisions for me? I don't like this Yu Feng, I won't marry him. Ling Shan didn't hide anything and expressed her stance directly. She couldn't hide something like this, and she had to express her opinion as soon as possible. Otherwise, things would get worse and worse. Shan, why are you doing this? Didn't you say that your man would be stronger than you? Yu Feng fulfills this point, and his strength is far stronger than yours. Doesn't this fit your criteria perfectly? And he's from House Yu, a good match. I think this is a great thing, why aren't you satisfied? Xian Wen asked curiously. Grandpa, feelings can't be forced. I don't have any feelings for him, I don't like him, Ling Shan said firmly. Shan, this marriage Grandpa found for you, is it something that all the noble houses are jealous of? Xianwen's face turned serious. Shan, I feel like this can be cultivated, but someone as outstanding as Yu Feng is hard to find. Grandpa, I have someone I like. Ling Shan gritted her teeth. Someone you like? Xian Wen paused, his face darkening. Who is it? It's not that House Chen kid, is it? Grandpa, don't ask. Lingshan, naturally, couldn't say Lin Yi's name. 1. Lin Yi's identity couldn't be exposed just yet, and 2. Lin Yi already had a girlfriend. She couldn't just tell her grandpa that she wanted to be Lin Yi's mistress, could she? No matter what, this was decided by me and the head of House Yu Feng's father, Yu Shuixing. It can't be changed, unless that House Chen kid can force Yu Feng to back out, but that's obviously impossible, Xian Wen said faintly. Shan, I hope you won't be stubborn, and don't forget your persistence. All right, I won't say any more. You take care of it yourself, this is decided. Grandpa. Li Shan looked at the phone in her hand, furious. What was wrong with her grandpa, who always loved her this time? Was the family's benefit that important? Was House Yu that good? She sighed, but she wasn't too worried. So what if it was House Yu? Didn't Lin Yi kill one and injure another? Ling Shan believed that if Lin Yi really cared about her, he wouldn't let her marry House Yu, but she wasn't sure yet. Chapter 1171. Another breakthrough? Ling Shan felt that as long as she worked harder, she'd be able to get Lin Yi's attention. She wouldn't have to marry into House Yu then. As for House Yu, it seemed like she'd have to deal with it for a while. Li Shan looked like she had a big chest and no brain, but that wasn't the case. Before Lin Yi truly accepted her, she wouldn't bring up Lin Yi. Otherwise, if Lin Yi didn't care about her, things would get out of hand. She got out of the car and walked over to Yu Feng with a dark face. Li Shan, did you ask Grandpa Song? Yu Feng asked confidently. I did, but he didn't say I'm your fiancé. He just asked us to see if we're compatible, Ling Shan said faintly. It wasn't that she was trying to trick Yu Feng, but this was how noble houses usually got engaged. They'd see if they were compatible first, and as long as there weren't any big conflicts, they'd get engaged. Of course, if there really was a huge conflict, and they couldn't mediate, they could still cancel the engagement. But that wouldn't look good for the two houses' reputation. So, seeing if they were compatible was just a break-in period. Everyone knew that this was pretty much set in stone. Haha, naturally, but they're pretty much the same, Yu Feng said with a smile. He realized that Ling Shan was even better looking in person, more attractive. Big breasts, a nice body, a stunning face, and a uniform. Yu Feng thought to himself that he'd hit the jackpot. Marrying such a wife would also be pleasing to the eyes. But my first impression of you isn't very good, very bad, Ling Shan said faintly as she looked at Yu Feng before turning to Lu Wengli. Let's go! Since Yu Feng was from House Yu, Ling Shan naturally wouldn't care about this anymore. If he didn't want to call the cops, then so be it, she'd done what she could. Ling Shan was smart, too, pointing out that she didn't have a good impression of Yu Feng. That way, she'd have some leeway. This way, Yu Feng wouldn't be able to get too close to her, and this would take longer. Ling Shan was confident that she could make Lin Yi fall in love with her, and this way, she could reject Yu Feng. He believed that a master like Lin Yi wouldn't be any weaker than Xie Yu Feng in front of his grandpa. While Lin Yi didn't have Xie Yu Feng's family background, Lin Yi had something that Xie Yu Feng didn't. Lin Yi could increase the strength of others, but could Xie Yu Feng? I believe grandfather will know who is the most important person to the family. If Lin Yi could raise his brother's strength to the peak late phase of the golden class, then House Song would be invincible. With that, Ling Shan turned around and left, leaving Yu Feng behind. Yu Feng looked at Ling Shan's perfect body and couldn't help but lick his lips. He couldn't take it anymore. It was too tempting. Ling Shan, I'll definitely get you. But from the looks of it, Ling Shan didn't look too good. Yu Feng was sure that Ling Shan didn't have a good impression of him, but there was nothing he could do about it. Who told him to be this unlucky the first time they met? Lin Yi, I'm going to kill you. It's all your fault. You made me lose face in front of my fiancé. Yu Feng roared at the sky, treating Lin Yi as his mortal enemy. But in this situation, Yu Feng realized that he had broken through. The bottleneck he'd been stuck in for a long time had been broken through. He had gone from the peak of the early phase of mystic class to the middle phase of mystic class. Wahahaha, the heavens are helping me! Yu Feng laughed. I didn't think that I'd break through. I'm a mystic mid-phase now. Penghu and Songming felt the difference as well. Congratulations, Master Xie! Congratulations! Master Xie's strength has gone up another level. Killing Lin Yi now is just child's play. Heh, that's right, Lin Yi is a mystic early phase, and I'm 2 levels higher than him now. Killing him is just a piece of cake. Yufeng laughed. Alright, let's go. Yufeng waved his hand and said confidently. Master Xie, aren't we going to wait for the ambulance? Penghu asked weakly. Why would we wait for the ambulance? Didn't you notice that all the injuries on my body have healed after I broke through all at once? Yufeng pointed at himself. Let's go, we'll go back and do some research. I'll ask Lingshan out tomorrow. Yufeng got a blessing in disguise. He got beaten up by old Zhu and broke through. This was something Lin Yi didn't expect. Sometimes, martial arts was just that mysterious. He hadn't broken through for a long time, but now, he was a one-sided punching bag, getting beaten up a few times. Under this pressure, he suddenly exploded and broke through. This couldn't be considered a coincidence. Yufeng got in the car and called his old man Shuixing, pleased with himself. Dad, it's me, Yufeng. Yufeng's tone wasn't without pride. I saw Lingshan today. She's a beauty. I like her a lot. Especially her breasts and butt. Waha. Shuixing frowned. What was wrong with his son today? Why was he talking so flippantly? Shuixing knew that Yufeng was like this in school, but in front of his father, he acted like a good boy. Did he drink too much today? Yufeng, what's wrong with you? What nonsense are you talking about? Shuixing scolded. Dad, haha, I'm just too happy, aren't I? Yufeng laughed. That's a bit too much. Yufeng laughed. Too happy? You're this happy to see Lingshan? Yufeng, you're not a kid anymore. Why are you still like this? Women are indeed beautiful, but you're a martial artist, so you should have a calm demeanor. Plus, Lingshan will be yours sooner or later. What are you so happy for? Shuixing scolded. Dad, that's not why I'm happy. It's a little, but the biggest reason is that I broke through. Dad, I'm a mystic mid-phase peak now. Wahahaha. Yufeng said happily. What? You broke through? You're a mystic mid-phase? Shuixing paused. You're not lying, are you? Dad, how could I lie about something like this? It's true, ha ha ha, why else would I be so happy? Yufeng laughed. Songming and Penghu are right beside me, they can prove it. Chapter 1172. Chapter 1170, Arrogant Go Huli, Part 1. Dad, how could I lie about something like this? It's true, ha ha ha, why else would I be so happy? Yufeng laughed. Songming and Penghu are right beside me, they can prove it. God bless our house, you. That's great news. You're so young, and you're already a mystic mid-phase. You're a genius even in the hidden houses. Shuixing sighed. Heh, it's all right. Yufeng said proudly. Here, I'll contact the hidden house you. You're so young and you have potential, they'll probably give us some benefits. If they give you a pill or two, you'll be able to become an Earth class and join a hidden house. It wouldn't be hard at all. At that time, our house you would be able to achieve glory. Shuixing said excitedly. You're such a young Earth class, you'll definitely be a reserve for the Sky class. Waha, perhaps our common house you will be able to produce a Sky class, entering the core of the Wulian world. Dad, don't worry, I've pretty much figured out how to level up. I'll test it out after a while, and if it works then my leveling will be much smoother. Yufeng felt that his leveling up this time wasn't a coincidence. There was a pattern to it. He'd been suppressing himself for a while now, and after beating up old Zhu, he'd felt extremely refreshed, as if he'd been suppressing himself for a long time before exploding. It was like leveling up to a certain point, and then it'd be released. And so Yufeng thought, could this be the secret to his leveling up? The whole leveling process was torture, suppression, rage, exploding, torture, suppression, and then breakthrough. He felt that this was a pattern, and as long as he grasped it, he'd be able to level up quickly. Oh? Really? That's great, son, you're a genius. Shueishing was so excited that he didn't know what to do. His son was a genius, understanding the rules of leveling up. He was a genius. Haha, of course, Yufeng said proudly. Alright, I'll talk to you later. I need to think about how to get Lingshan. If I can push her down, my strength will increase even more. And then you have to work harder, Shueishing added. He was overjoyed that his son had leveled up naturally. He wouldn't think that his son's thoughts were dirty or inappropriate. In the aristocratic families, everything was based on strength. If one was strong, then no matter what kind of character that person was, everyone would respectfully call him an expert. This was the reality. Go Huli was acting up again these few days, driving her Ferrari with Yanjing license plate and running amok in the neighborhood. Even the security couldn't do anything to her. The neighborhood was full of complaints, but there was nothing they could do. The Xiao family was like the sun in the sky right now, and noble houses weren't bound by the rules of the common world. As long as they didn't go too far, the local police wouldn't interfere. Plus, Go Huli didn't cause too much trouble. She just randomly parked her car on the road, hit someone's car, and threw a stack of cash at them. There were a lot of complaints, but nothing too extreme. Today, Go Huli bought a lion, calling it a lion dog. She walked around with the lion, as if she was showing off her power. She, Go Huli, was the most honorable and powerful person in this area. And so, things kept happening in the neighborhood. Today, this family's dog was eaten, tomorrow, that family's cat was eaten, and the day after that, even other people's birds were eaten. As long as they were meat pets, none of them were spared. And the culprit of all this was Go Huli's lion. The lion was chained up, and without Go Huli's permission, it wouldn't be able to run out and eat this and that. So, many residents were unhappy. Although they were all rich and didn't lack money, they had to demand an explanation if their pets were eaten, right? Plus, most of the cats and dogs had been raised for many years, and they had feelings for them. So, these people collectively went to the property management company to report the situation, and wanted the security to denounce Go Huli and ask her to hand over the lion. The security guard was in a difficult position. The Xiao family was like the sun in the sky recently, and many important people came looking for the Xiao family. When they registered at the security booth, the security guard naturally knew, so they didn't dare to denounce the Xiao family. But the residents were making a lot of noise, and the property management had no choice but to send the security captain and the victims to Go Huli. At this moment, Go Huli was sitting with her legs crossed, playing with her lion. Of course, Go Huli was afraid of lions as well. She wasn't a practitioner, so she wasn't afraid of lions, but she sprayed some kind of medicine on her body so that the lion wouldn't bite her. And Go Huli was someone who liked to show off, so she made a lion to show off. Hearing the doorbell, Go Huli walked out and opened the door. She frowned as soon as she saw the security captain and a large group of residents. She knew why they were here. What are you guys doing here? What's wrong? Go Huli shook her wrist, and the lion ran over, opening its bloody mouth at the security captain. Roar wah! The security captain jumped and subconsciously took a few steps back, wiping the sweat off his forehead. He was very afraid of this lion. His face turned ugly. Ms. Go. Look, can you tell it to back off a little? What? Aren't you the security captain? You're afraid of dogs? Who do you think you're going to protect? Do you still want the property management fees next year? Go Huli was very arrogant. But Ms. Go, this is a lion, not a dog. The security captain said carefully to Go Huli. Who said it's not a dog? It's a dog, a lion dog, are you blind? Go Huli rolled her eyes. Chapter 1173. Chapter 1171. Arrogant Go Huli. What? You're here to demand justice for them? So you're here for the will of heaven? Go Huli smiled coldly. So what if my Pekingese ate it? I'll pay them however much it costs. I don't lack money. Tell me, how much? Madam Go, you see, the people who live in the villa area don't lack money. Don't you think it's inappropriate for you to do this? Besides, your Pekingese is very dangerous. What if it bites a child? The captain of the security team asked carefully. Bites? It hasn't bitten yet, has it? Aren't you worrying for nothing? Why aren't you worried about the sky falling down? Gohuli rolled her eyes and scolded angrily. Get lost! Go to the side and don't cause trouble here. Tell me how much you want, I'm busy. Isn't this too overbearing? Yeah, this woman doesn't listen to reason. It's like she's bullying people. The owners who came to demand justice couldn't stand it anymore. They all started scolding Gohuli. But Gohuli sneered in disdain, glaring at the troublemakers. What? You don't like it? I'm overbearing, I'm unreasonable, I'm a bully. Xiao family is just that overbearing, what do you want? That? The crowd was annoyed by Gohuli's arrogant words. Wasn't she being too unreasonable? How could she be like this? But Gohuli's words reminded them that Xiao family was the wife of the Xiao family's head. Not many people knew about the Xiao family before. It could be said that the Xiao family moved into this neighborhood, and no one noticed. But these days it was different. These people were all in the business world. Even if they weren't, they had their own connections and knew about the Xiao family. During this period, the Xiao family's name could be said to be resounding in the business world. Moreover, everyone also vaguely knew the identity of the Xiao family. They were one of the aristocratic families, a giant existence. After hearing all kinds of legends about how powerful the aristocratic families were, these people also retreated a little. However, after all, they had only heard of it, and had never experienced it for themselves. Their pets couldn't die in vain, right? Therefore, these people decided to wait and see first. Gohuli saw that these people didn't leave and was furious. She pointed at the lion in her hand. Lion dog, go chase them away! Let's see who dares to make noise in front of my door! Roar! The lion ran 2 steps towards the door and roared at the guards at the door. Those who came to punish Gohuli were also scared at this moment. After all, who dared to compete with a lion? Thinking of the wealth and power of the Xiao family, they could only sigh and accept their bad luck as they left the entrance of the Xiao family's villa. Since the owner had left, there was no need for the security captain to stay. Although he wanted to dissuade Gohuli, with how arrogant she was, she obviously wouldn't listen to advice easily. He shook his head and left. Gohuli humped proudly and closed the door with the lion. She felt like she was the boss of the district, leading a lion wherever she went, and no one dared to mess with her. And this villa should be cleaned. Gohuli looked at the dust in the corner of the villa and said. Before, when Gohuli moved in, she wanted to find someone to clean the villa. She wanted to hire a housekeeper, but when she saw Meng Yao and Yushu, she wanted to make them do hard labor. That was why this series of trouble happened. Ever since Gohuli caused trouble, the Xiao family didn't have the mood to find someone to clean the villa. Now that the Xiao family had turned the situation around, they were busy with the guests, and didn't think of finding someone to clean the villa. Only now did Gohuli think of this. These 2 days, Gooden had been staying at Yuanyuan's house, waiting for Xiaoke to send him money. Even if she didn't send him money, she should at least send him the address. But Xiaoke was nowhere to be seen. These 2 days, Gooden would go to the train station after work, but there was still no sign of Xiaoke. At the same time, Gooden realized that he had been tricked. This liar, she was pissing him off. Gooden thought that he would teach her a lesson the next time he saw her. But now, as anxious as he was, there was nothing he could do. He didn't know Lin Yi's address, and he didn't know Lin Yi's phone number. He wanted to call back to the village, but he didn't know Widow Wang's number, and he didn't know old Lin's number. This was a black mark for a youth who had never left the village. He didn't need to remember phone numbers before, and he could find people by shouting. With a megaphone, who wouldn't be able to find someone? But now, no matter how megaphone he used, he couldn't let everyone in the city hear him. Songshan was too big. And so, Gooden could only work for Yuren's shop. Luckily, Yuren's family took good care of him, especially Yuanyuan. Gooden didn't want to leave. Although they got the money from Scorpion, Yuren's family didn't give up on their work. They were hard-working people, and this money was used to buy a house and expand the shop. It was like trying to put out a fire with a cup of water. And so, Yuan continued to work at the burger shop, and Yuren continued to run the shop. Mrs. Yu continued to work as a housekeeper, and Gooden continued to help out at the shop. Mrs. Yu was very happy today. The housekeeping company gave her a big job, cleaning a villa. If she did this job well, she'd get a few thousand. Naturally, she was very happy. And so, she happily went to get the tools and went to the villa according to the housekeeping company's address. Before going to work, Mrs. Yu even called Yuan and Yuren. The father and daughter were very happy when they heard about it. Yuren, the stingy man, even bought some ribs from the market to give his wife a treat, telling Yuan to cook it for Mrs. Yu, as well as to improve Gooden's diet. These days, with Gooden's deliveries, Yuren's shop's business went from a few hundred a day to 3,000 a day. The key was that no matter what people bought, Gooden would deliver it to their door. Toilet, basin, sand, cement, as long as you bought it, it didn't matter how many floors you lived in, even if the elevator broke down, Gooden would deliver it to your doorstep. And he didn't even need to pay. Chapter 1174. Something happened. Yuren, on the other hand, used the money Scorpion gave him to buy large quantities of plumbing and fittings, and the business was getting better and better. And so, the more Yuren looked at Gooden, the more he liked him. This guy was his lucky star. If he became his son-in-law, it'd be a great thing. When the time came, he and Gooden would make the shop big, and with a door god like Gooden there, all the gangsters would be nothing. No matter how many there were, they'd be no match for him. Their days would be great. Yuan, are the ribs ready? Let Gooden eat some first. He's been doing heavy work the whole day. It's quite tiring, Yuren said. Okay. Yuan replied obediently and went to get a rib for Gooden. Zhou Jiaming here. Yuren called him Gooden, but naturally, Yuan wouldn't call him that. She only called him by his name. Thanks. Gooden happily took the rib and started eating. It's delicious. Eat slowly. Yuan rolled her eyes. After a few days together, Yuan had Gooden's shadow in her heart. Beauties loved heroes, and that was what Yuan was feeling right now. Gooden looked at Yuan's shy face and couldn't help but be stunned. Yuan wasn't that type of beauty, but in his eyes she was prettier than a goddess. Ring! A hurried ringtone of the phone broke the ambiguous atmosphere between the two of them. Yuan quickly walked over and picked up the phone. Hello? What? You're the housekeeping manager? My mom got bitten by a dog? She's in Songshan's first hospital right now. Okay, we'll go there immediately. After hanging up, Yuan panicked. Dad, it's bad. Manager Zhang from my mom's company just called, saying that my mom got bitten by a dog, and she's being treated at Songshan's first hospital right now. What? Yuren froze as well. She was fine this morning. Why was she bitten by a dog at night? Yuren didn't dare slow down and brought Yuan and Gooden to a taxi, rushing to Songshan's first hospital. In the hospital room, Yuren finally saw his wife. Mom, what's wrong with you? Yuan ran over excitedly to her mother's bedside and held her mother's hand. Yuan's mother looked at Yuan with a painful and weak smile on her face. Manager Zhang, what's going on? What was going on? What happened to my wife? How come you got bitten by a dog? Yuren saw the manager and asked. Eh? Manager Zhang sighed. Your wife went to a rich family to clean up today, but somehow, she provoked the Pekingese. As a result, the Pekingese bit your wife. Now, her leg is bitten off. If it weren't for the timely rescue, one of her legs would have been crippled. That serious? Yuren was shocked, his eyes wide open. What did they say? Was there no explanation for their dog biting someone? Besides, what kind of dog could bite off a person's leg? It's said to be a Pekingese, but it's actually a big lion. Manager Zhang said helplessly. The doctor said that this wasn't a dog bite at all. What? Raising a lion? Isn't that too immoral? Where's the person? Where is he? It was up to them to explain themselves. What did this mean? Aren't they trying to harm someone? Yurin panicked. You're old, right? Don't get too excited yet. They're rich and powerful, and the mistress is being unreasonable. I went to talk to them, and I almost got bitten by the lion. And I've confirmed that the dog they're raising is indeed a lion. Manager Zhang smiled bitterly. They're being unreasonable, throwing me 50,000 and telling me to leave. Ah. Yurin flinched, remembering what happened with Fiderly. Yeah, he was one of the people who lived at the bottom of society without any power. How could he afford to offend someone like that? The person was living in a villa, obviously not a normal person, and raising a lion. How could he afford to offend someone like that? Old you, 50,000, the company doesn't want a single cent, it's all in the hospital, and our company's CEO called me just now, saying that they're from the Shao family, and we can't afford to offend them. I think we should just let this go, and the company will compensate you. Don't go looking for trouble, or you'll drag the company down with you. Manager Zhang sighed. We're in the middle, it's hard for us to do anything. Yurin heard what Manager Zhang said, and naturally, there was nothing he could do. Even Manager Zhang's leader couldn't do anything, and he was afraid of their power. What else could he do? Then my wife's leg. Will it be healed? Yurin looked at his wife in pain. The doctor said that it'll be fine, but it'll be a little limp. Manager Zhang didn't hide anything. But it won't affect your movements, and the company will compensate you with a sum of money enough for you to live on. The company's intention is to let this go. Don't make a big deal out of it. Pay? Can money solve the problem? What's wrong with a lion? I'll get an explanation from that woman. I'll kill that lion with one punch. Gooden panicked upon hearing the manager's words. What kind of world was this? Why were these people so afraid of a lion and an evil woman? What was the big deal? If he couldn't do it, he'd go kill them. Zhou Jiaming, don't be rash. Yuan jumped and quickly pulled Gooden back, stopping him from acting rashly. This matter was obviously different from the previous underground boxing. The people in the underground boxing died because it was originally illegal. They didn't dare to say anything even if they died. They could only suffer in silence. Could they still call the police? But this was different. It was just a pet that bit its mother, and if Gooden killed the person, it'd be a big deal, and Gooden would definitely go to jail. Yuan wouldn't let Gooden do something so stupid. And so, Yuan kept signaling Gooden with her eyes, telling him not to be rash. Gooden was an honest man, but he wasn't stupid. Seeing Yuan's eyes, he shut his mouth, but the anger on his face didn't go away. Manager Zhang looked at Gooden and shook his head. Where did this idiot come from? Was he Yuan's relative or son-in-law? Why was he so brainless? And he wanted to kill the person? Don't get bitten by the lion again. Chapter 1175. Boss has a way. Thank you, Manager Zhang. Yurin knew that Manager Zhang was in a difficult position as well. They couldn't afford to mess with them, and the housekeeping company had done all they could. Yurin didn't need them to do anything else. Yurin couldn't help but sigh as he watched Manager Zhang leave. His family had just gotten better, they had some money, and their lives were getting better as well. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? Yurin went to the doctor to ask about the situation. Yuan, on the other hand, looked at Gooden, amused and angry at the same time. Zhou Jiaming, can't you change that impulsive personality of yours? This person is different from the underground arena. If you kill her, wouldn't that be breaking the law? You'd go to jail. I didn't say I was going to kill her, I just said I was going to demand an explanation and kill the lion. Gooden grinned. I'm not an idiot. Yuan couldn't help but chuckle. But you can't do that. Let's take a look at Mom's condition first. Yuan didn't know about her mother's injury yet, thinking that it wasn't serious. She didn't hear the manager's voice when he lowered it. After a while, Yurin came back from outside the room, sighing and frowning. Dad, how's Mom? Will she be okay? Yuan saw her father walk in and quickly went up to him. Hey! Don't talk about it. The doctor said that even if your mom's healed, she'd still be crippled. She'd be crippled from now on. Yuan sighed and said helplessly. Such a big thing happened, and that family took the money and didn't even come out to apologize. Sigh. Mom's leg. Going to be crippled? Yuan was shocked. She looked at her father in disbelief. That's what the doctor said, and it's the best case scenario. If she doesn't recover well, she might not even be able to stand up. She'd have to use crutches to walk, and she'd have to sit in a wheelchair. Yuan lowered his head in pain. His life had just gotten better. How did it go wrong again? No, I have to go ask for an explanation. I can't just let this go. Gooden clenched his fists. How could they do that? If they don't give me an explanation, I'll punch that lion to death. Let's see if my fist is harder or if their reasoning is harder. Even if you kill that lion, you can't solve it now. Yuan glared at Gooden. Let's think about what we should do in the future. All right. Gooden nodded and sighed. Man! It would be great if we could find Boss. Auntie's injury isn't a big deal for Boss. Ah? Your boss is a doctor? Yuan paused. She knew that Gooden was here to find someone, but she didn't know that it was a doctor. Yeah, my boss is a miracle doctor. I'm here to deliver the medicine to Boss, Gooden said proudly. Linny would always be Gooden's pride. Talking about Linny was like talking about Gooden himself. Gooden felt a sense of accomplishment. Oh? Does that mean that Mom's leg can be healed? Yuan was shocked and overjoyed. From what she could see, Gooden wasn't the type of person to boast. She did think so when they first met, but Gooden's actions proved that he wasn't just boasting. He said he would kill Fighterly, and he really did. This proved that Gooden was a very practical person. Yes, of course. As long as we find Boss, everything will be fine. Gooden smiled. You don't have to worry about that. Then how do we find your boss? Yuan didn't really care about the person Gooden was looking for, but now she was panicking. I don't know, it's all that scammer's fault. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have lost the note. Gooden said helplessly. Then we'll look for him slowly. We'll find him eventually, as long as there's hope. Yuan was at least full of hope now. She was thinking about how she was going to spend the rest of her life after what the doctor said. Now that there was a chance to change things, she was naturally happy. Then I'll go find that tyrannical family first and demand justice. Gooden nodded. That's not a rush. Yuan knew that Gooden was strong, but some things couldn't be rushed. Who knew if they'd come tomorrow? Let's wait. If that family doesn't show up again, we'll go find them. But try not to get into a conflict. We're just asking for justice, all right? I'll give them 3 days. If they don't give us an explanation in 3 days, I'll go find them. Gooden nodded. He'd been interacting with Yuan a lot these days, and he was more civilized with his words. He didn't call himself I in front of Yuan. In the Villa district, everyone started to panic. Linny and the others had been away for 2 days, and they usually went to school early and late. They naturally didn't know what was going on in the district, and they didn't know that a lion had appeared in the district. Go Huli, on the other hand, was still walking around the district with the lion. The residents all knew how domineering she was, and they knew that she had a powerful background. They didn't dare mess with her. They couldn't mess with her, but they could hide. So wherever Go Huli appeared, people would all avoid her, especially the lion in her hand. Of course, acting cool in front of normal people didn't give her any sense of accomplishment anymore. What she wanted the most was to act cool in front of Meng Yao Yushu and Lin Yi. The Xiao family had been snubbed by House Chu before, and they still hadn't gotten their revenge yet. And so Go Huli had been looking for a chance to cause trouble for House Chu these 2 days, but every time she went to Meng Yao's villa, all she saw was the locked gate and the dark villa. There was no one inside. This made Go Huli depressed. She finally had a chance to act cool and step on people, but she couldn't use it. It was like a cultivator getting a supreme treasure, but she couldn't activate it. Only Gohuli herself knew how depressed she felt. Chapter 1176. Performing a circus. Mingyao had obviously returned. Their car was parked in front of the villa, and the lights in the villa were turned on and a few windows were opened. Huli was overjoyed. She led the lion to Mingyao's villa's yard. At this moment, Mengyao, Yushu, and Linny had just returned to the villa after sending Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao back. The three of them hadn't locked the door yet, since the security here was good. No one would lose anything in the day. Thus, Gohuli entered the yard easily. "Little lion, make 2 noises here!" Huli ordered her lion. "Roar!" The lion had received professional training, so it understood everything Gohuli said. Yushu and Mengyao were in the living room, looking at the pictures on their iPad too, excited. "Wow, Shield Bro's roasted shrimp looks so handsome." Yushu raised her iPad too in surprise. Mengyao rolled her eyes. "Chu, you've roared so many times today. My ears are getting calluses." "But it's really handsome, Yao Yao, do you think so too?" Yushu said. "Nope," Mengyao said faintly. "I'm not Tang Yun or Feng Xiao Xiao, why would I care about Linny?" "Oh?" Yushu didn't say anything after seeing Mingyao's cold attitude and continued looking at the pictures. But a lion's roar came from the villa's doorway. Yushu didn't pay much attention to it at first, but it got louder and louder. Yushu raised her head, confused, and stopped what she was doing. "Yao Yao, do you hear that weird sound?" "What sound?" Mengyao, on the other hand, didn't pay attention to it. Her attention wasn't on this. Shu kept saying that Linny was handsome, and Mengyao took a closer look and realized that it was true. Linny wasn't a pretty boy, but he was a man with a manly temperament, which suited Mingyao's taste. She didn't like guys with too many styles, but a guy with too much brawn and no brains wasn't good either. In short, Mingyao's criteria for a partner were very complicated, but Linny just happened to meet all of them, hence, Mengyao was in a dilemma. She hadn't recovered from the shock yet, so naturally, she didn't hear any strange noises coming from the villa's yard. "It's that kind of roar, roar!" Yushu mimicked a lion's roar. "Ah?" Mengyao paused. "What's that?" "That's it, Yao Yao, listen carefully." Yushu pointed at the direction outside the villa. "Oh? There seems to be a strange sound?" Mengyao listened attentively. There was indeed the sound that Yushu mimicked, and it was quite similar to Yushu's. "Wait for me, Yao Yao, I'll go take a look." With that, Yushu called out to Lin Yi's room. "Shield Bro, come protect me." "Lin Yi's taking a shower," Mengyao said. Lin Yi said that he wanted to take a shower before going back to his room, so of course he couldn't come out now that Yushu was calling him. And so, Yushu led General Weiwu out to check the situation. They saw Gohuli playing with a lion in the yard. "Fuck! What are you doing, you old woman?" Yushu's eyes widened as she looked at Gohuli in disbelief. "Are you putting on a circus here?" "What? You little bastard!" Gohuli froze. She didn't think that her lion would be treated as a circus clown by Yushu. She raged. "Who is this old woman scolding?" After saying that, Gohuli looked at Yushu proudly. This was Yang Guo's trump card in Jin Yong's novels. She didn't think that Gohuli would be able to use it so easily. After saying that, she waited for Yushu to fall into her trap. "This old woman is standing in front of me, scolding me," Yushu continued innocently. "You old woman, you're the little bastard, you're the old bastard." "Wah!" Gohuli was furious after hearing Yushu's words. This girl didn't respond to her like she expected, and instead, she scolded her back. If she called her a little bastard again, wouldn't that mean that she was admitting that she was an old woman? With that thought, Gohuli humphed coldly. "You have a sharp tongue, I won't talk to you any more. Little lion, teach this girl a lesson." "Oh woo!" The lion in Gohuli's hand roared at Yushu. "Lion?" Yushu blinked, not scared at all. She looked at the lion in Gohuli's hand curiously. "Is this really a lion?" "Humph! So what if it is?" "What, are you scared now?" Go Huli said proudly. She didn't mind admitting that it was a lion in front of Yushu. It's fun, thank you. Old woman, you gave me such a fun pet, Yushu said happily. I need a master guard at home, I'll take it. Girl, are you crazy? I'm here to teach you a lesson, you think I'm giving you a lion? Is there something wrong with your IQ? Go Huli shouted angrily. Lion, go! Eat this girl's dog first. Go Huli didn't dare to let the lion eat Yushu in front of everyone. After all, she knew that Yushu was a member of the Chen family. Xiao family might be arrogant now, but they couldn't go too far in public. But eating her pet dog was no problem at all. As for secretly, Go Huli would be happy if she could bite Yushu to death. Roar! The lion roared at Weiwu and walked towards him step by step. Fuck! Why are you so talkative, old woman? General Weiwu, tame this lion for me, I need a guard. Yushu ordered. Woof woof! General Weiwu responded and walked towards the lion without fear. Ugh! The lion didn't care when General Weiwu was lying there, but now, the dangerous aura that General Weiwu emitted made the lion's hair stand on end. The sixth sense of an animal was the most sensitive. They could tell what was dangerous and what wasn't. The dog in front of it made the lion feel a great sense of danger. It was the king of the grassland, but facing a murderous dog like this, the lion still retreated a little. Chapter 1177. Chapter 1175. Chased up the tree, but General Weiwu didn't care at all. In an instant, he pounced on the lion. The lion was shocked and jumped up. It waved its front paw at General Weiwu, wanting to slap General Weiwu to the ground. But before its paw could reach General Weiwu's paw hit the lion's mouth, causing it to fall to the ground. General Weiwu seemed to understand Yushu's intention. He wanted to tame this lion, not kill it. In General Weiwu's eyes, this lion was weak and could be killed easily. But since Yushu didn't allow it to be killed, he had to hold back. The lion didn't expect the enemy to be so strong and give it such a huge blow. The lion was in pain, and its eyes were filled with fear. When it saw General Weiwu pouncing on it again, the lion quickly turned around and ran to the side. Go Huli's eyes widened. What happened to her lion? Why didn't it eat General Weiwu? Why did it run away as if it saw something scary? Little lion, come back! What are you doing? Hurry up and eat this dog for me! Go Huli panicked. She came here to use the lion to teach Yushu and the others a lesson. She didn't think that the lion would run away before she could teach them a lesson. However, the obedient lion didn't care about Go Huli's words at all. It just kept running forward. But how could it be as fast as General Weiwu? In desperation, the lion saw a tree in the courtyard of the villa. So the lion gritted its teeth and jumped onto the tree. A lion can climb a tree? That's amazing! Old woman, this lion of yours has been specially trained for the circus, Yushu said in amazement. Go Huli's face reddened. Yushu's words were clear. She was calling her a clown in the circus, playing with the lion. Although Go Huli was angry, she didn't know what was going on. The lion was so powerful that it even ate a dog that was bigger than General Weiwu. How could General Weiwu chase the lion around? After the lion climbed up the tree, it hugged the trunk tightly and didn't dare to come down. It was even shivering on top of the tree. General Weiwu, on the other hand, wasn't in a hurry. He squatted down calmly as if he was waiting for the lion to come down. Little lion, come down! Huli panicked and yelled at the lion on the book. But the lion acted as if it didn't hear Go Huli's words and ignored her. Little lion? Huli called again. The lion still had no reaction. It had no intention of coming down. I'm going back to continue looking at the photos. Your lion has become my guard. I'm not going back with you. Go back by yourself. Bye! Yushu waved at Huli and went back into the villa. Only General Weiwu, the lion on the tree, and Go Huli were left alone in the yard. Seeing Yushu go back, Go Huli was dumbfounded. She came here with the lion to act cool, but not only did she fail, the lion didn't come down from the tree, and it didn't listen to her anymore. She couldn't just sit on the ground and wait like the dog, could she? Then Huli's face would be completely gone. Huli wasn't happy. Was General Weiwu that scary? Why was the lion so scared of it? Puppy dog! Can you let the lion come down? Huli didn't have a choice. She lowered her voice and discussed with General Weiwu. She didn't want to embarrass herself, so she kept her voice low. Woof woof! General Weiwu barked at Huli. Huli jumped in fright and subconsciously took 2 steps back. Obviously, Huli underestimated General Weiwu's intellect. She treated General Weiwu as a normal dog. Puppy dog, we both have the same surname. Why are you so unfriendly to me? I just want to bring my lion back. Can you let it come down? Huli didn't want to give up. Woof woof! General Weiwu barked twice and moved closer to Huli. Huli was so scared that she waved her hands. Forget it if you don't agree. I'll leave first. Huli was depressed. She didn't want to leave like this, but she wasn't a dog's opponent. What if the dog got angry and bit her? She could only go home and think of another way. If she really couldn't, she could contact the masters from House Pi. That would be easy. But when Huli told Xiaoji her idea, Xiaoji scolded her. Isn't it just a lion? If you don't come back, then don't. Our Xiao family may have a master with a wallet, and to outsiders, our Xiao family may look like they're invincible, but don't you know what's going on? These 2 masters from House Pi are here to supervise Xiao family's business. If there were business enemies, they'd help us take care of them, but you want them to help you beat up a dog? Only you can think of that. They're masters among masters, why would they help you beat up a dog? But this isn't about the lion, it's about face. Last time, our Xiao family was humiliated by Meng Yao. If we don't get back at her now, people will think that we're afraid of House Chu. Huli said unwillingly. It's not a question of whether or not I'm afraid. Uncle Pai was injured by Lin Yi, and if the Pais wanted revenge, they would have gone after Lin Yi a long time ago. Would it be your turn? Xiaoji hemphed coldly. House Pai hasn't gone to Lin Yi yet, which means that they won't. Let's just forget about it for now. Don't expose our Xiao family's trump card. If people see that we can't control House Pi, that'll be bad. I see. Huli lowered her head, feeling wronged. Haha, big brother, you can't say that. House Pai didn't go to Lin Yi for revenge because Uncle Pai's injury was caused by sister-in-law. That's why House Pai didn't go to Lin Yi. After all, they don't have a legitimate reason to do so. Xiao Ben waved his hand and analyzed. But I believe that House Pai will be in a hurry to get revenge. If there's any conflict of interest with Lin Yi, I don't think they would mind making the move. In fact, if sister-in-law wants revenge, as long as we create a conflict of interest with Lin Yi or House Chu, I believe that House Pai will be more than happy to help. Chapter 1178. Chapter 1176. An unexpected call. Xiao Ben was a smart man. He wanted to deal with Lin Yi, and he wanted to borrow House Pai's hand, but he wouldn't ask for help directly. Even if House Pai helped, the Xiao family would owe them a huge favor. But if Lin Yi or House Chu affected the Xiao family's business, then House Pai's help would be for their own benefit. The Xiao family wouldn't owe House Pai anything, and House Pai's help would be easier. So from Xiao Ben's point of view, this could be done, but it had to be planned carefully. It couldn't be rushed. Xiao Ben was pleased to see that his elder brother would go along with his suggestions. Although his elder brother was the head of the Xiao family, he was still the one in charge. In this way, it was no different from him being the head of the family. Xiao Ben nodded. So we have to plan this. It's best if House Chu can affect our family's benefits. That way, House Pai will definitely make a move for their own benefit. Not bad, then I'll leave this to you, second brother. I'll leave the revenge for your sister-in-law to you as well. Xiaoji nodded. Then, my lion. Huli was still a little unwilling. If the lion really stayed at House Chu and didn't come back, then Huli would lose all her face. She wouldn't be able to raise her head in this district anymore. She just showed off to the residents in the district, but now she even left the lion in someone else's house. How could she go out in the future? It's just a lion. If you don't want to, then buy another one. If you have the ability, then get it back yourself. Xiaoji waved his hand, stopping Huli from continuing. That's it. I'm so busy every day, where would I have time to think about this? What Xiaoji said wasn't wrong. The Xiao family's cooperation with various wealthy businessmen was in full swing. Every day, there were many things to do. Even Xiaoji, who didn't care about anything, had to be busy receiving guests. After all, Xiao Ben had to go and finalize the cooperation agreement with the businessmen. Xiaoji couldn't do such detailed things, but he could treat people to meals and socialize with them. Hearing Xiaoji's words, Go Huli knew that there was no way she could ask House Pai for help. She could only think of a way herself. Helplessly, Go Huli could only sneak out at night. The lion persevered on the tree for a while, but it could not hold on any longer. After all, it was a land animal, not a bird. How could it stay on the tree peacefully? Therefore, the lion's heart changed. He was ready to come down to General Weiwu and ask for peace. Lin Yi took a shower and changed into his pajamas. He was just about to go check on General Weiwu and the lion when his phone rang. Lin Yi looked at the caller ID. It was Ling Shan. Ever since Ling Shan leveled up a few days ago, she hadn't called Lin Yi again. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was happy to be free. Who knew what Ling Shan needed his help with this time? This time, Ling Shan called Lin Yi because she needed his help with something. She had just returned to the police station this afternoon when Yutian came to visit. Compared to Xie Yufeng, Ling Shan found that Yutian was more pleasing to the eye. But it was just pleasing to the eye. Compared to Lin Yi, he was still a far cry. Ling Shan remembered a line from a song. The one who loves me has no regrets for me, but I'm crying for the one I love, my heart breaking. Ling Shan thought that her relationship with Lin Yi would improve after the last level up. But after a few days, Lin Yi still hadn't contacted her. Lin Yi would only call her a limited number of times, and it was always for something. He never called just for the sake of calling. Li Shan, why do you look so worried? What, you don't welcome me? Yutian saw Ling Shan sitting in front of her desk with a long face, deep in thought. I told you, call me Officer Song on the job, but you can call me Ling Shan in private. Ling Shan said faintly as she looked at the person who came. Yutian's face changed slightly, but he said, Ling Shan, we're from noble houses, right? Even if you don't accept my love, there's no need to be so distant, is there? Then what should I do? Act warm to you? Make you misunderstand? Ling Shan said faintly. That's... Ling Shan! I admit that I still love you very stubbornly, but I already understand your feelings. If you really marry that person, I'll be relieved, and I'll be happy. I admit that I, Qin Yutian, am not as good as him. I'm not as good as him now, and I won't be stronger than him in the future. My love for you is buried deep in my heart. I just want to protect you silently. As long as you're happy, I'll be satisfied. I'm calling you Ling Shan, as a big brother, just a little sister. If you don't agree, then I'll call you Officer Song from now on. Yutian said seriously. Ling Shan froze when she heard Yutian's words. She didn't expect Yutian to say something like this so openly. Yutian had revealed similar intentions and compliments towards Lin Yi before, but she didn't expect him to say it so seriously today. Yutian wasn't strong, but Ling Shan knew that Yutian was a man of his words. If he said this, then it meant that he'd thought it through. All right, I'm relieved that you think that way. I'll call you Yutian bro from now on. Ling Shan confirmed their sibling relationship. Haha, this relationship is a bit messy. Yutian scratched his head. Lin Yi was his instructor, and even if he wasn't his master, he was still his boss. If Ling Shan really followed Lin Yi, then she'd be his sister-in-law. But this could only be discussed in the future. What messy relationship? Ling Shan paused before remembering something. Yutian bro, what's your relationship with Lin Yi? That? You should ask him yourself, I can't tell you. Yutian didn't want to say anything behind Lin Yi's back. If Lin Yi was here and didn't object, then it wouldn't be a problem, but not now. Chapter 1179. Level up? Of course there is. The grave robbing case from last time has come to a conclusion. I have reported the matter to my superior. My superior wants us to disguise ourselves as a couple and enter the tomb with the grave robbing group codenamed Red Pagoda. Qing Yutian said. On one hand, we need to collect evidence of these grave robbers and capture them all. On the other hand, we need to record how they opened the tomb. This tomb is dangerous, and if we can gather all this information, it'll be easier for our experts to investigate the tomb in the future. This is very valuable. You're telling me this because you want the local police to work with you on the outskirts? Lingshan asked. Yes, and on the other hand, I'd like to invite you to pretend to be a couple. Yutian coughed dryly. In fact, he didn't have any intentions of taking advantage of Lingshan. He'd already let it go, and he wouldn't use the excuse of a mission to get intimate with her. That wasn't something a gentleman would do. Yutian did this because he considered Lingshan's skills. The tomb was very dangerous, and it was impossible to go in without a certain level of skills. Lingshan's skills were undeniable, and that was why Yutian sent this invitation. According to the information, the couple was quite skilled as well. Even if they weren't golden class, they had speed and agility similar to a golden class. Me? With you? Lingshan paused. Yutian's suggestion didn't cross any rules or bottom line. After all, her profession was special, and it was normal for her to pretend to be a couple with someone else. But the problem was that she didn't really want to do it with Yutian. Yes, the tomb is very dangerous, and the tomb robbers aren't weak. If our people aren't strong enough, we might die in there, Yutian said solemnly. Lingshan, I'm doing this for the big picture. I have no selfish motives. Although, I'd be very happy if we pretend to be a couple. It's not real, but at least we had. It could be said that Yutian was very honest, and he didn't hide anything. This made Lingshan admire Yutian. This personality suited Lingshan's taste quite well. But even so, Lingshan wouldn't fall for Yutian. There were two reasons. One was that Yutian wasn't strong enough, and the other was that Lingshan already had someone else in her heart. Lingshan didn't think anyone was as strong as Linny right now. Linny was a little domineering, but Linny really did have some skills. Not only was he brave and resourceful, but he also had medical skills. More importantly, he could level up others. More importantly, although this man was a bit of a playboy, he was not that kind of promiscuous. She had failed to seduce Linny several times, so she should be able to see that Linny was a person who controlled his lower body with emotions and his upper body, not his lower body controlling his upper body. And so the more she thought about it, the more she liked Linny. Linny was an all-rounder, and he could even help her solve cases. This matter, if we cooperate with you, what benefits will there be? Lingshan was representing the local police to cooperate with Yutian, so she had to get something in return. At the very least, she couldn't let Yutian take all the credit. As for the credit, of course, we'll split it 50-50. That's fair, that's all. The stolen goods have to be turned in, and I'm very poor, so I don't have any bonuses. Yutian shrugged with a smile. I need money? Lingshan rolled her eyes. All right, but as you said, the tomb is dangerous, and you're only a golden class early phase. The two of us aren't strong enough, so I'd like to get some help. Help? Linny? Yutian was smart, and naturally, he thought of Linny. Lingshan had two reasons for looking for Linny. One was that with Linny, she wouldn't have to pretend to be a couple with him anymore, but with Linny. The second was that with a master like Linny, the mission would be less dangerous. Yeah. Lingshan nodded, blushing. Yutian saw right through her, and she felt a little embarrassed. Sure, as long as Linny can help, I'll be even happier, Yutian said after a sigh. But what he said was the truth. Although he couldn't pretend to be a couple with Lingshan anymore, there were some things that he had to let go of, and he wouldn't regret it once he made up his mind. But fighting side by side with Linny was Yutian's dream, and now that it had come true, he was naturally happy. With Linny as his helper, the difficulty of this mission would be much lower. All right, I'll talk to Linny then. Ling Shan nodded. I'll go call Linny. You wait for me outside? Don't worry, I won't eavesdrop. Yu Tian smiled, but he felt a little sour inside. Ling Shan was calling her lover, after all, and naturally, she wouldn't say it in front of him. And so, Ling Shan went into the resting room and called Lin Yi. What's up? Lin Yi picked up. Miss Dummy misses you, can I give you a call? Ling Shan wasn't too happy with Lin Yi's formal voice. Miss me? Why don't you miss me when you're not busy? Whenever you miss me, I'm busy. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Ling Shan most likely had something to do with him. Oh? Ling Shan paused, and then said happily. Does that mean that I can call you when I'm free? That's great, I usually want to call you but I don't dare, afraid that you'll scold me, so I have to find a reason to call you. What? Lin Yi's eyes went wide, not knowing how to respond. Ling Shan's words were really hard to answer. Lin Yi couldn't just say that she'd call him when she was free, could he? Then she'd probably call him every couple of hours. But if Lin Yi didn't let her call him, wouldn't that mean that he'd let her find an excuse to call him? Lin Yi smiled dryly, changing the topic. Then why are you calling me this time? About leveling up? Leveling up? I want it, I want it. Ling Shan narrowed her eyes, thinking of a prank again. When will you give it to me? I really want it. Good man. Chapter 1180. Didn't want to go. Seduction, seduction. Even someone like Lin Yi, with his resistance, was losing ground in front of Ling Shan. That little vixen song. If this went on, something would happen sooner or later. Lin Yi took a deep breath. He couldn't deny that Ling Shan had the body, the face, and the uniform, but Lin Yi was struggling. I can't do it now, I'll help you when I'm in Earth class, Lin Yi said, cutting Ling Shan off. Ah? Ling Shan paused. She thought that this was the limit of what Lin Yi could do for her, and that he wouldn't be able to do it again in the future. After all, external methods like this had their own limits, and other people's chi was different from their own. It was fine if it was a small amount, but too much would cause problems. Of course, Ling Shan didn't know that Lin Yi's chi was an all-purpose chi, and after entering her body, it became the same as her own chi. This was Lin Yi's ultimate cheat, after all. How could normal people compare to a main character with a halo? It can still rise? Ling Shan asked, a little surprised it was already good enough that she was golden class late phase peak, so how strong would she get if Lin Yi helped her? Could it be that he could level up and become a mystic class master? Yes, but you probably won't break through to Earth class. You'll probably only be mystic late phase peak. I haven't figured out the general pattern yet, but you'll always be a little lower than me, Lin Yi said. Of course, don't tell anyone about this. I want people to line up at my house and ask me to help them improve their strength. I'm not an idiot, of course I won't tell anyone, Ling Shan said. How could she let other people know about this? But then she asked, can I really become a peak late phase mystic class? Ling Shan didn't dare imagine it mystic late phase peak. That was the peak of all the noble houses in the common world. She had that kind of strength. And Lin Yi said that she was going to break through the Earth rank? Ling Shan was dumbfounded. Naturally, she knew that Lin Yi was strong, but she didn't know that Lin Yi was this strong. Everyone else's target was half a layer, but Lin Yi was an Earth class. Could it be that Lin Yi was already a mystic late phase peak master? With that thought, Ling Shan felt a surge of excitement in her heart. The man she had her eyes on wasn't wrong. Let's talk about it after I break through to Earth class. I don't know when I'll be able to do that. Lin Yi thought, I'm not even mystic late phase peak, and you're already thinking about it? Aren't you being too greedy? I've worked so hard to level up, and now that I've leveled up, you've leveled up. It's so unfair. But in fact, if someone were to hear Lin Yi's thoughts, they would probably vomit blood. You have a cultivation space, a cheat, and the ability to mass-produce experts. You're practically invincible. Do you still think it's hard? Yes, yes, Ling Shan said quickly. Then, little dummy girl, I'll wait for you to break through and wash yourself clean. I'll be waiting for you any time. You called just to talk about this. Lin Yi was speechless. No, actually, there's one more thing don't you know about Lu Buijia? Qin Yutian found me and asked me to go with him to pretend to be a couple and carry out a mission. I'd like to invite you to come with us. With your skills, it'll reduce the danger. Ling Shan got to the point. Rob tombs with you guys? Lin Yi blinked. Not with us, but to catch the tomb robbers. We'll also record how to activate the tomb's mechanisms to help our archaeology. Ling Shan explained. Not interested, Lin Yi said faintly. I'm staying here to protect Meng Yao and Yushu. Xiao family's been working with some hidden house pie lately, and they've sent a couple of practitioners to protect Xiao family. I think they'll come looking for trouble sooner or later. Go Huli even brought a lion here to cause trouble. Brought a lion? Ling Shan paused. No way? Where's the lion? My golden class dog chased it up a tree, and it's still up there. Lin Yi smiled. I leveled up that dog. Ling Shan was speechless. Lin Yi really had nothing better to do, leveling up a golden class dog. But this also showed how strong Lin Yi was. Creating practitioners was no problem at all. Don't you have some medical knowledge? According to our research, this tomb might very well be the tomb of the folk medicine Saint John Liju. Aren't you interested? Ling Shan started tempting Lin Yi, taking out the things Lin Yi was most interested in. There might be some ancient books in there. Of course, I can't give you the originals, but I can give you the copies. Ling Shan was a principle. She couldn't just use relics to please Lin Yi. He could look, but he definitely couldn't take them away. But Lin Yi wouldn't be able to use the originals even if he wanted them. Haha, not too interested. Lin Yi still wasn't interested. His old man had thousands of ancient books, and he couldn't even finish them all. Why would he look at other people's? Plus, he really didn't have the time. Going into the tomb would take him at least 10 days to half a month. Ah? Ling Shan didn't expect that even this wouldn't attract Lin Yi's attention. She was a little disappointed. Think about it a little more. Just think of it as protecting Miss Dumbo. It's dangerous in there. Aren't you afraid that Miss Dumbo will die? Then don't go, Lin Yi said. Anything else? No. Nothing else. Ling Shan was a little disappointed, but there was nothing she could do. She couldn't force Lin Yi to go if he didn't want to. Think about it a little more. It's not that urgent. Maybe the Xiao family's problem will be solved by then. We'll talk about it later. With that, Lin Yi hung up. After hanging up, Lin Yi walked out of the room and into the living room. Lin Yi had sensed it when Go Huli came with the lion. There were curtains in Lin Yi's bathroom, but one could still see the outside of the villa through the gaps. But Lin Yi relaxed after seeing Yushu and General Wei Wu come out. General Wei Wu was more than enough to deal with a lion. Chapter 1181. She spilled the beans. I saw it. Lin Yi smiled. How's the lion now? I don't know. Let's go take a look together, see if it's dead or surrendered. Yushu was eager to know the result after hearing Lin Yi's words. Meng Yao wasn't interested at first, but after hearing Yushu and Lin Yi's words, she was curious as well. She stood up and followed them out of the villa. But when they walked out, they saw a spectacular scene. General Wei Wu was leaning against the shade of a tree, and the lion was respectfully squatting beside General Wei Wu. It was fanning General Wei Wu with a broken piece of paper in its front paw. What? General Wei Wu has a follower! Yushu's eyes widened, shocked. Haha! Lin Yi wasn't surprised at this result. It was just a lion after all. It was a piece of cake for General Wei Wu to take care of it. Shield bro, now that you have 2 followers, you can go out without worry when we're at home, Yushu said happily. Now we have another guard. Meng Yao couldn't help but smile as well. A lion fanning a dog was something that could only be seen in cartoons, but it was happening right in front of her eyes. Meng Yao couldn't believe it. But then again, ever since Lin Yi moved into the villa, too many unbelievable things had happened in the house. This lion is a little weak, and it might not have surrendered wholeheartedly. It's just afraid of General Wei Wu's aura, Lin Yi said faintly as he looked at the lion not far away. Oh? Yushu paused. This lion was faking its submission? Did that mean it wasn't very loyal? Yushu wasn't an idiot, and this was the case in real life. Some people were forced to submit to pressure and power, but in reality, they were waiting for the right opportunity to retaliate. They wouldn't go easy on their enemies, however. Yushu looked at the lion's eyes after hearing Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi's words weren't sincere at all. Yushu felt that Lin Yi's words made sense. She sighed. Then what should we do? Will it be able to faithfully look after our yard? Hee, as long as it isn't as strong as General Wei Wu, it will still guard this place seriously. Lin Yi understood that sometimes, it didn't matter if one was sincere or submissive, as long as one's strength was there, the result would be the same. Oh, then let's keep it for now. Yushu nodded in satisfaction at Lin Yi's words. Hey, lion, you need to protect the yard, okay? Don't let strangers in, or I'll get General Wei Wu to deal with you. Understand? Oh. The lion seemed to be quite intelligent, and seemed to understand Yushu's words. Yu Feng was in a very good mood after breaking through to Mystic mid-phase. After thinking about it, he decided to give Lingshan a call and change his image today. Otherwise, he'd be too weak to let Lingshan see him beaten up like that. Lingshan called Lin Yi and got rejected by Lin Yi. She wasn't in a good mood, and came out of the room with a dark expression on her face. How is it? Lingshan, did Lin Yi agree? Yu Tian asked worriedly, as if he was even more worried than Lingshan. No. Lingshan shook her head. I asked him to think about it, but he didn't reply. Man, if Lin Yi joined this mission, we'd have a higher chance. Yu Tian sighed as well. This mission is very dangerous. I don't want anything to go wrong. Me too, of course, Lingshan said. It looks like I'll have to keep begging him. Lingshan's phone rang again as they were talking, delighting her. She thought that it was Lin Yi calling back, and that he changed his mind. But when Lingshan took out her phone, it was an unknown number. Hello, I'm Song Lingshan. Lingshan picked up the phone and said her name in a formal manner. Lingshan, it's Yu Feng, Yu Feng said excitedly. He thought that Lingshan's voice was really nice, like the sound of nature. Even a simple sentence like that was so charming. Yu Feng? Why are you looking for me? Lingshan frowned, her face darkening. She didn't expect this Yu Feng to call her so soon. This guy was really shameless, losing face in front of her today, and he didn't feel embarrassed at all. He still had the face to call her? Haha, it's like this. I'm at the beach today, right? The scenery and environment here are quite nice, and I heard that you're on leave tomorrow, so I wanted to invite you to the beach and relax. Yu Feng said with a smile. Lingshan, you're under a lot of pressure from work. You can relax at the beach and enjoy nature. Let's have a picnic, what do you think? Lingshan was pissed off. Did this Yu Feng do a thorough investigation? He even knew that she was on leave tomorrow? How's your injury? Weren't you going to the hospital today? What, you're leaving already? Lingshan said faintly. Her meaning was clear. You were beaten up like that. Why didn't you just stay in the hospital for treatment? What were you doing out here? Lingshan, don't misunderstand. I didn't fight anyone today, I got beaten up on purpose. Yu Feng had already thought of what to say. In order to not lose face, he found a perfect excuse. Oh? You got people to beat you up on purpose? Lingshan paused. Was there an idiot like that in this world? Looking for a beating? Was he itching for a beating? Yes. Yu Feng said seriously. Lingshan, this is actually a method I came up with myself to train and level up. I call this method of leveling up cadence. What is the cadence? It's suppressing and showing off. Every time I reach a bottleneck, I'll use this cadence to level up. First, I'll suppress myself, and this means that I won't fight back, I'll just endure it. When I can't take it anymore, I'll explode and level up. Then you broke through? Lingshan asked faintly. Yeah, I broke through, Yu Feng said proudly. I'm a mystic mid-phase now. Chapter 1182. I'll talk to him. All right. I was Mystic Mid-Phase, I'm at Mystic Mid-Phase peak now. Yufeng jumped in fright, remembering that he told Lingshan that he was one level stronger than her. He'd almost let it slip. Is that so? Congratulations, then. What did Lingshan do for a living? She knew that Yufeng was lying the moment she heard it. It seemed like this guy was lying. He probably didn't have the strength of Mystic Mid-Phase before and was just about to break through, so he bragged to his grandpa that he was Mystic Mid-Phase. Now that he had just broken through, he almost exposed himself. Haha, I'm very experienced in leveling up. Lishan, I heard that you're a rare genius, too. You're still a little weaker than me, but you're already very strong, Yufeng said proudly. But if you want to know the profound of leveling up, I can help. I believe that with my guidance, you'll be able to break through quickly as well. Oh, Lingshan replied faintly. Breakthrough? Why didn't she ask him for help? What kind of crappy method was that? She had to get beaten up to break through? Lingshan didn't want that. It was so easy with Lin Yi's help. There was no pressure at all, no pain at all. What? Lingshan, you're not interested in leveling up? Yufeng paused. He thought that Lingshan would be really excited after what he'd said, but Lingshan's attitude was very calm, as if she didn't hear anything at all. That shouldn't be the case, right? Yufeng thought that most people would be excited when they heard about the profound meaning of leveling up. This was very important to a warrior. The path of cultivation was full of hardships, and every step was going against the flow. Every breakthrough required a huge price. No one could get something without putting in the effort. So, leveling up was a huge temptation for a practitioner, but why didn't Lingshan care? Yufeng didn't understand. How could he have known that Lingshan would be able to level up so easily with Lin Yi's help? With such a good leveling tool like Lin Yi, why would he need Yufeng's profound? I have to work overtime tomorrow, so I won't be able to go. You should go yourself, Lingshan said faintly. There's a case, and I have to stay. Yufeng didn't know what to make of it. Lingshan's one sentence had blocked all of his excuses. No matter what Yufeng said, it was useless. Lingshan had a job. She couldn't just give it up, could she? Is there anything else? Lingshan asked. No. No more, Yufeng said helplessly. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up, Lingshan said and put the phone on the table, letting out a long breath. She didn't know why, but Lingshan felt a sense of disgust when she heard Yufeng's voice. Who's calling? Lishan, you don't seem too happy? Yutian looked at Lingshan curiously. House Yu's Yufeng, I don't know what's going on, but my grandpa wants me to marry House Yu to House Yu. Lingshan didn't hide anything from Yutian, and told him her troubles. What? Yufeng? Yutian froze, looking at Lingshan in disbelief. You're saying that your old son wants to marry House Yu? What's going on? How would I know? Lingshan rolled her eyes helplessly. Didn't I always say that the man in the future would be stronger than me? Grandpa remembered it, and I don't know how he got in touch with House Yu, saying that Yufeng was stronger than me, so he made a deal with them privately. I didn't think that Yufeng would come looking for me. But don't you like Lin Yi? You and Yufeng? Yutian asked, agitated. I don't like Yufeng at all. Lingshan shook her head. But Grandpa won't listen when I tell him, so I can only deal with it for a while. Hopefully, this Yufeng will back off. I see. If that's the case, I'll talk to him when I see him and explain things to him. Hopefully, he'll give up on his own. Yutian, on the other hand, knew about the marriage between noble houses, but it wasn't impossible to cancel the marriage if both parents objected. And so, Yutian thought that since Yufeng and Lingshan hadn't broken up yet, he'd talk to him about it, and maybe he'd let go. They were both men, after all. If he could let go, what about Yufeng? Yutian bro, it's best if you don't go. I don't have a good impression of this Yufeng, but I don't think he's a good person to deal with. You should just ignore him. He'll probably give up after hitting a wall a few times. Lingshan knew Yutian's temperament. She was afraid that he wouldn't be a match for Yufeng if they really fought. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing, Yutian said. Then, if he doesn't give up after a while, you'll talk to him again? Lingshan had no choice but to delay. All right. If he still doesn't give up after a while, I'll talk to him. Yutian nodded. Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine, with House Lu and Fatty Lai's business backing it up, began to be sold on a large scale in the market without any pressure, and sales were rising steadily. Especially after the effects of the medicine were verified by the consumers, the sales volume doubled. Fatty Lai was overjoyed by the huge supply, but he had no choice but to take a loan and invest in the production line as soon as possible. From the looks of it, it wouldn't be long before the stock ran out, and the market would be out of stock. Although this would create a situation where the demand exceeded the supply, the consumers would also have negative feelings towards Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. Being out of stock was always uncomfortable. And so, in order to prevent this from happening, Fatty Lai gathered people and started working overtime to increase production. From the looks of it, the new product hadn't even been put into production yet, and they had to make way for the injury medicine. Even if they increased production, they wouldn't have the extra production lines to produce the new painkillers. It was already good enough that they could supply the entire country with the injury medicine. This was something that Fatty Lai didn't foresee. He didn't think that the injury medicine would be so popular and affect the entire country. He originally only wanted to push it into the market in the province and nearby provinces, but he underestimated the network effect. As of now, everyone knew about Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. Chapter 1183. House King's Shakdonghai, House King's Mansion. Looking at Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine being released into the market in large quantities, the Kangs were dumbfounded. Didn't I tell you to control the raw materials? What's going on? Where did Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company get so many raw materials? Dr. Kong looked at the news and smashed the teacup in his hand onto the floor. He yelled at Kong Gofeng. Kong Gofeng, tell me, what's going on? Aren't you in charge of the raw materials? Dad, I did buy all the raw materials. I bought all the bad ones too. There shouldn't be any stock left in the market, Kong Gofeng said with a bitter face. Unless they started buying raw materials in large quantities a few years ago, the raw materials in the market would be monopolized by us. A few years ago? How is that possible? Did they prepare for a few years before releasing the product into the market? Do you think that's possible? Dr. Kong said angrily. I don't think it's possible either. But other than that, there's no other explanation, Kong Gofeng said helplessly. I've already asked all the raw materials suppliers, and they don't have any stock left. I even offered to buy them at a high price, but they couldn't take it out. So, this proves that they don't have any stock left. Out of stock? Is it a ghost? This Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine is constantly being sent into the market. More than what we have, that means you have everything you need. We can't even keep the cost down at this price. Miracle Dr. Kong humphed coldly. Maybe they're making a loss to attack us, Kong Gofeng said hesitantly. This is a common business tactic, many people use it. They'll wait until our product has no market, and when they take over the entire market, they'll raise the price again. That way, they can recoup their previous losses. Oh? You're saying they're doing this on purpose? Did you amass so many goods just to attack us? Dr. Kong asked. That's possible. Kong Gofeng had been thinking about it for the past few days. He couldn't understand how Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company could fully distribute the goods in just a few days. Then let's discuss how we should deal with it, Dr. Kong asked with a frown. Grandpa, I have a good idea. Jiaolong had lost face earlier, so he spoke before Kong Mingming could. Oh? What good idea do you have? Tell me, Dr. Kong asked with a smile as he looked at his eldest grandson. Actually, he was more interested in his eldest grandson Kong Jiaolong, even though Kong Mingming was quite capable. It's like this. I think that since Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company is making a loss, then we'll let them make a loss. On the surface, we'll do what we want and not adjust the price or the number of sales. Instead, we'll buy Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine in bulk. Xiaolong said. Since our cost isn't enough, we'll buy their products in bulk and stock them up. When Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company can't take it anymore, we'll change the packaging and continue to market at the same price. We'll be able to make Miracle Dr. Guan lose a lot of money. That makes sense. Dr. Kong nodded. He felt that Xiaolong's words made sense, but he still looked at Kong Mingming. He wanted to see if his second grandson had any good ideas. Kong Mingming had some achievements recently, so Dr. Kong asked, "What about Xiaoming? What do you think we should do?" "Grandpa, I don't agree with Big Brother's point of view." Kong Mingming was an idiot, but he'd gotten lucky recently. He'd made so many great achievements that he felt a little smug. That was why he went against his big brother. "Oh? Why?" Dr. Kong asked quickly. "That?" Kong Mingming frowned. He was just objecting subconsciously. Why would there be a reason? But since his grandpa asked, he couldn't say he didn't know. He could only brace himself and start talking nonsense. "Grandpa, think about it. You said it before, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company couldn't have planned to buy these raw materials a few years ago. They already had this amazing medicine, so they should have put it on the market a long time ago. Why would they wait until now? A few years ago, they could even compete with our Dr. Kang's golden creation. Why would they wait? So this guess isn't reliable. Then why do you think so?" Dr. Kong nodded. He felt that Kong Mingming's words were reasonable. "I think this Guan Xuemin might have used some low-quality ingredients to replace the expensive ones. You should know that Guan Xuemin is an expert in the medical world. It's not impossible," Kong Mingming said. "If he used some low-quality ingredients, then the cost would be lower, and he wouldn't have to buy those expensive rare ingredients. You're talking nonsense, right? Didn't you get the prescription from them already? Are you saying that the prescription you got isn't accurate?" Xiaolong didn't wait for Dr. Kong to speak and retorted. "Besides, if we could change the ingredients on the prescription, we would have done it a long time ago. Don't forget that I'm also a medical student. Our Kong family's laboratory has been researching whether it's possible to replace the rare and expensive medicinal materials in the prescription with other medicinal materials. You think you can compare to Guan Xuemin? He's an expert, and you just graduated. Brother, it's good that you're confident, but too much confidence is just arrogance and conceit," Kong Mingming said. "Either way, I'm sticking to my own point of view. I got the prescription from them, that's true, but you can't guarantee that they won't change it when it's put into production. All right, stop arguing." Dr. Kong saw his two grandsons arguing, and he was a little annoyed. What time was this? And they were still arguing because of their own feelings. How could they deal with others if they weren't united? Xiaolong and Kong Mingming shut their mouths at the same time, but they still didn't give in. Xiaoming's words make sense, but the possibility isn't high. After all, this prescription can't be changed just like that. It's a miraculous prescription, how can it be changed so easily? Dr. Kong said. "I think we should follow Xiaolong's suggestion and buy Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine in bulk." Chapter 1184. Going for wool and coming home shorn. Don't be too happy. If we didn't cancel the engagement with the Xiao family, our house Kong would have been flying high by now. You were the one who opposed your brother's point of view. Actually, Xiaoming's point of view is right. You need to learn from him. Dr. Kong looked at Xiaolong's smug face and scolded him. "Yes. Grandpa, I understand." Xiaolong's expression tensed up as he replied carefully. "Grandpa, I still insist on my point of view." Kong Mingming heard his grandpa's words and he didn't know where his courage came from. He forced himself to say this stubbornly. He knew that he couldn't back down now. He had to persevere no matter if it was right or wrong. But he thought that he was still very lucky. Everything he did recently had been going smoothly, and he managed to get it right a few times by sheer luck. Grandpa has already made the decision. Zhao Ming, you don't have to say any more. I know what you're thinking, but right now, the family's interest is the most important. Zhao Lung's tone was kind, but the sarcasm in his words was very thick. Anyone could tell that he was saying that Kang Mingning's point of view was destroying the family's interest. Humph. Do whatever you want if you don't want to listen to me. You'll only remember what I said when you suffer. Kang Xiaoming felt like he couldn't keep his face any longer. He spat out those words and left the room. Sigh. Miracle Dr. Kang looked at his second grandson's back, his heart a little conflicted. Was his second grandson really a man of great potential? Every time he raised a point of view, it was so shocking, but every time it was right on the mark. Was it really a coincidence, or did he see something? However, the stocking up this time didn't affect the family's profits much. Even if Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company continued to sell at this price, the family wouldn't lose anything. At most, they would just have to spend a little more effort. With that thought, Miracle Dr. Kang relaxed a little. The lion went to House Chu to be a follower, and Go Huli wasn't happy about it. This was a tamed lion that she had spent a great deal of effort to buy. How could Go Huli be willing to let the Chu clan have it so easily? The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She couldn't sleep the whole night. The next morning, Go Huli went to House Chu to ask for the lion back. But Go Huli didn't know what to do. After all, if she asked for the lion just like that, not only would they not give it to her, they'd even scold her. With Yushu's ruthlessness, she'd definitely scold her. At the entrance of House Chu's mansion, Go Huli tiptoed and peeked in. She saw the lion lying in the yard, not moving at all. Go Huli felt like it was a godsend. Go Huli smiled and walked towards the lion. Go Huli smiled and walked towards the lion. Lion, little lion, sweetheart, come back with me? Huli smiled and walked over to the lion. The lion raised its eyelids lazily and looked at Go Huli before lowering its eyelids. It didn't even care about Go Huli, not even bothering to make a sound. Oh! Go Huli saw that the lion ignored her and lowered her voice to mimic the lion. She thought that since the lion was male, she'd be able to attract the lion's attention if she mimicked a lioness. But the lion didn't react at all. It didn't even look at Go Huli. Go Huli panicked, thinking that the lion didn't hear her. She raised her voice and roared again. Awoo! Awoo! But the lion still didn't care. Go Huli panicked even more. Awoo! 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 This time, she didn't attract the lion, but Yushu came out of the villa. Yushu thought that the lion was bored and came to teach it a lesson. But when she came out, she saw that it wasn't the lion, but Go Huli. Oh? Yushu looked at Go Huli confusedly. Old woman, your lion is gone, so you're pretending to be a lion to get attention? Go Huli heard Yushu's words and got angry from embarrassment. Pretending to be a lion? She just wanted to bring the lion back, but the lion didn't care about her at all. What could she do? Pretending to be a lion? I'm going to bring the lion back. Go Huli humphed. Oh, do what you want then, Yushu said nonchalantly and went back to the villa. Go Huli was left here. She didn't know if she should leave or not. After a while, Go Huli stomped her feet and left angrily. She didn't have a choice. Yushu made it sound easy, but the lion wouldn't move. Couldn't Go Huli go and hug the lion? Go Huli thought about it and came up with an idea. The lion loved meat, especially fresh beef from the market. With that thought, Go Huli quickly went home and drove to the market. She bought a big piece of fresh beef and went back to Mingyao's villa. Lion, lion, I bought your favorite beef. Want to go home with me? Go Huli tempted the lion with the beef. Under the temptation of the beef, the lion looked up at Go Huli and stood up with a howl. Go Huli was overjoyed. An animal was an animal. Milk was a mother. She gave it food, so why wouldn't it go home with her? Little lion, come home with me. I'll give you big fish and meat every day. I promise you'll eat well. Go Huli raised the bag of beef in her hand proudly. The lion stood up and walked to Go Huli. It raised its head and bit down, snatching the bag of beef from her hand. Gohuli was afraid that the lion would bite her hand and let go subconsciously. The bag of beef went into the lion's mouth. "Little lion, I've given you the beef. Come home with me," Gohuli said. But the lion turned around with the beef in its mouth and gave Gohuli a butt. The lion quickly ran to the door of the villa and scratched it with its front paw. After a while, the villa's door opened, and Yushu walked out. The lion gave the bag of beef to Yushu. Yushu took it and saw that it was full of fresh beef. She was overjoyed. "Little lion, where did you get this beef? I was just worrying about what to eat tonight. Now I can make curry beef and potatoes." You're tuning into the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.